Chapter 885. Night Sorrow didn't tell anyone. He left the tent and placed a teleportation crystal on the teleportation array. Then, he used a spatial crack to enter the chaotic space. Blue. Night Sorrow first investigated the Netherworld camp. He wanted to find a chance to kill Ji Yuhao, but he found that Ji Yuhao was in a tent not far from 9 Nether King. There were saints guarding it, so he couldn't do it. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow didn't stop and flew away. This time, he flew hundreds of miles. Night Sorrow tore space and arrived in the real world. After flying for 300,000 miles, Night Sorrow started to set up a teleportation array. After he was done, he inserted a teleportation crystal into the teleportation array and set up an illusion array and a killing array. Night Sorrow set up the teleportation array. After the illusion array and killing array were broken, the teleportation array would be destroyed. There would be no possibility of it being trapped by the enemy. After that, Night Sorrow flew for a while and set up another teleportation array. Then, he returned to the teleportation array. Seeing Night Sorrow come out of the teleportation array, Tai Shu Yan, Lu Qin, and Jun Xuanji, who were patrolling the camp, were stunned. "You went out to set up a teleportation array? Seems like you have another idea," Jun Xuanji said. "War requires patience, resources, and people's hearts. If we can fight our way in, why not? We want their resources, and we want to destroy their stability," Night Sorrow said. "This move of yours is enough to make them helpless," Jun Xuanji said. Night Sorrow smiled. He didn't have any good ideas at the moment, so this was the only thing he could do. Also, he planned to think of a way to solve Ji Yuhao's problem. Just as Night Sorrow was thinking about how to solve it, Lin Yuandao appeared. He wanted Night Sorrow to take him through the 1,000 derivation killing array. He sent Lan Yuxuan to inquire about Ji Yu's family. At this time, Lan Yuxuan crushed his messaging crystal. Night Sorrow took Lin Yuandao to see Lan Yuxuan. Lan Yuxuan brought a man. "Lord K. Lord, this is our spy. However, he only knows which island the Central State Mansion is on and where the entrance is. However, he doesn't have the qualifications to enter the Central State Mansion," Lan Yuxuan reported. After that, the spy explained the situation. The Central State Prefecture was surrounded by formations, and it would be very difficult to enter without a map. This informant was a member of Ji Yu family. His parents were sacrificed in the power struggle of Ji Yu family. With the secret support of Tianji Tower, he had become one of Ji Yu family's key disciples. That was why he was brought to the island where Zhongzhou Prefecture was located. However, he was only allowed to stay on the island, and was not qualified to enter Zhongzhou Prefecture. "Night Sorrow, I'll take care of this. However, I'll have to bring Black Entropy with me. After all, there's a formation there. Black Entropy is a formation grandmaster. He might need to break the formation," Lin Yuandao said. "Bring more people. We have to guard against Ji Yu Haitian," Night Sorrow said. "Then I'll bring Chief Guardian Guoxiao over." Lin Yuandao nodded. The Central State Mansion was a big matter. He had to take it seriously. Night Sorrow also sent Guoxiao and Black Entropy out of the formation. After sending them out of the space tunnel, he asked them to take care of this matter. After that, Night Sorrow returned to his tent and told Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, Aoi, and Xueshi about this matter. "This is a good thing. The problem of Ji Yu family has been solved. Only Ji Yuhao is left. He won't be able to cause any trouble," Sikong Chuyu said. "I have to find a way to kill Ji Yuhao," Night Sorrow said. "The problem now is that Ji Yuhao is always by 9 Dark Lord's side. We can't do anything to him," Xueshi said. "I'll ask Long Xianxing and Saint Xian if they have any good ideas," Night Sorrow said as he walked towards the command tent. Other than guiding Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing in their cultivation, Long Xianxing spent most of his time in the command tent. When Night Sorrow arrived, there were many people in the tent. Then, Night Sorrow told them about his idea of killing Ji Yuhao. The problem lies in the fact that the 9 Hell King and her doppelganger are both very strong. If we rush out, she will be on guard. With the addition of the 7 Fiend King, our chances of success are not high. Long Xianqing said. Seniors, this is what I'm thinking. I can use the space crack to directly enter Ji Yuhao's tent. After I break the space crack again, any of you can instantly kill him or capture him into the space crack, Night Sorrow said. Okay, we'll do it in the space crack. I'll be responsible for capturing him. Saint Xian will be responsible for blocking the reinforcements. Night Sorrow, you'll be responsible for bringing us there and back, Long Xianqing said. Then it's decided. We'll go now. Night Sorrow did not want Ji Yuhao to live at all. The main reason was that Ji Yuhao was a big trouble. Reading novel 3, Night Sorrow tore the space apart and brought Long Xianqing and Xian Wenxiu into the space crack. In the space crack, they shuttled towards the Netherworld's camp. Night Sorrow's soul power passed through the space crack and found the location of Ji Yuhao's tent. After entering the tent, Night Sorrow's bloodline talent burst out and tore the space apart. Then, he used his realm to prevent the space crack from closing. Long Xianqing used the space crack to trap Ji Yuhao. While killing him, he pulled him into the space crack. It didn't matter if it was killing or pulling, as long as he could do one thing. Xian Wenxiu took out his high-grade Saint Treasure and started to defend. When 9 Dark King and 7 Fiends King arrived, Ji Yuhao was already pulled into the space crack by Long Xianqing. Xian Wenxiu kept his Saint Treasure. Then, he stretched out his arm and flattened the space crack. It was easy for cultivators to stabilize and flatten the space crack. The difficulty was that they couldn't tear the space apart. After the space was flattened, Night Sorrow brought Long Xianqing and Xian Wenxiu back to the 9 Regions World's camp. Then, they tore the space apart and returned to the real world. At this time, Ji Yuhao only had half of his life left. Night Sorrow waved his hand and shattered his dantian and legs. He didn't kill him because Night Sorrow was worried that something might happen in the Central State Prefecture. Night Sorrow, you will die a horrible death. Ji Yuhao cursed as he lay on the ground. Even if I die a horrible death, I will kill you. Let's see how long you can live. Martial Uncle Grand Uncle gave him the life spirit liquid. We can't let him die. Wait for the news from Lord Quebec. If we successfully take down the Central State Prefecture, we will kill him. Night Sorrow waved his hand and knocked out Ji Yuhao's few teeth, not giving him the chance to bite his tongue and commit suicide. Leave him to me. Before it's time to die, he can't die even if he wants to. Hua Haining directly fed Ji Yuhao a pill. Then, Ji Yuhao stopped moving. What pill is that? Night Sorrow asked. Paralysis pill. Without the antidote, he won't be able to move. He won't be able to commit suicide. Hua Haining said. Okay, then we will wait for news from Lord Quebec. I will go and remove the formation at the entrance of the space tunnel. Otherwise, it will be inconvenient for our own people to come in and out. However, Martial Uncle Grand Uncle, King Yun, you have to arrange some guards. If they are not absolutely reliable, they cannot come. Night Sorrow felt more at ease. Capturing Ji Yuhao was equivalent to eliminating a hidden danger. At this time, 9 Dark King looked at the space tunnel and narrowed his eyes, thinking. What about the health benefits? What about the energy pills? 10 times a day? What about the Myriad Dao Ascension? Chapter 886. 9 King, we're too passive. They have spatial cultivators, so we can't defend against them. Search Rotten Book Bar and read new chapters, said 7 Fiends King. There's still a big problem. If they can teleport here, then they can set up a teleportation formation. 9 King also had a headache because they couldn't defend against them. 9 King, how about this? We'll gather all the nether beasts in the nether realm's Beast King Sea. We'll fill the area with nether beasts. As long as they teleport, we'll know. 7 Fiends King spoke his thoughts. You're right. Also, this king is worried that their teleportation formation is here. We have to get rid of it. If they occupy the spatial channel, we'll be too passive in this war. The 5 puppet kings and the 6 soul kings have died. This is directly related to this king's decision. 9 King sighed. After being attacked by the 9 domain world, 9 King was still affected. His aura wasn't as strong as before. 9 King, this has nothing to do with your arrangements. They are too cunning. It can be said that they are more prepared than us. Now, I will go and gather the nether beasts. After 7 Fiends King finished speaking, he left the spatial tunnel to make arrangements. Night Sorrow rested for a day before returning to the command tent. What's the plan? Shang Luo asked. It's like this. A while ago, I set up another teleportation array. Now, we can still fight for resources and harass them. We won't let them have a good time, but I'll have to trouble you seniors again, Yishan said. Don't talk about trouble. If you have an order, just give it. You're the commander, and we're just following orders, said Long Xiansheng. Let's do it the same way as last time. We'll split into 2 groups. Just like last time, we'll keep an eye on Hades 9 Yin's main body and clone. It doesn't matter if one of them goes missing, but if both of them go missing at the same time, we'll crush the messaging crystal and the 2 groups will retreat. When they return, we'll continue to kill. They won't be able to attend to one and lose sight of the other, Yisaro said. This method is really useful. No matter how many times we use it, it's almost unbreakable, said Xiaolanjun. Our safety is much lower this time. After all, the only one who can threaten our 2 teams is the king of 9 Yin, and she can't split herself, Night Sorrow said. Soon after, Long Xiansheng and Xian Wenxiu led their men and left. Yi Linghuan and Yi Wuyo also followed them. Night Sorrow then arranged for Tai Shu Yan, Lu Qin, Jun Xuanji and Xueshi to enter the array formation. The 4 of them could take turns to observe the situation on the other side. Xueshi could communicate with him if something happened. Now, it was very difficult to enter the array formation to monitor the situation. In the past, when there was only one heavenly cycle array, Black Shang could still bring the array formation masters to patrol the area. Now that the 2 composite arrays were combined, other than Night Sorrow, no one else could enter because it was too complicated. After making the necessary arrangements, Night Sorrow entered the 73rd floor of the Space-Time Pagoda and began cultivating. The Pagoda of Time and Space could assist Night Sorrow in his cultivation of true energy and soul strength. The Pagoda of Time and Space could also assist him in the cultivation of his innate bloodline power. The only thing he lacked was the energy he could use to cultivate his body. The Space-Time Pagoda could provide the power of time, but it could only increase his body's attribute power. As for the increase in energy, Little Kong could not help Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's body had reached the golden body realm. Ordinary resources were useless. Night Sorrow did not have the time to find the blood essence of the 4-clawed silver dragon. Currently, he could only use the life spirit fluid. Fortunately, he had obtained the life spirit fluid twice, so he had a lot of it. Night Sorrow cultivated, and so did the others. As for the management of the 9 regions world's troops, Yun Tianlong was in charge. In addition, there were other elders from the Commander-in-Chief's residence helping Yun Tianlong. As the days slipped by, Night Sorrow cultivated peacefully. No one disturbed Night Sorrow unless there was a big problem. Even if there was a problem, Yun Tianlong would gather the people from the Commander-in-Chief's residence to discuss it. They would not disturb Night Sorrow's cultivation. In the blink of an eye, Night Sorrow had been cultivating for 1.5 months. His true energy cultivation and the myriad Daos treasured tomes cultivation had improved greatly. However, he heard Little Kong's call. The space-time pagoda stood beside the spatial tunnel. If someone shouted, Night Sorrow would know. Perhaps Night Sorrow, who was in a meditative state, would not hear it. However, the space-time pagoda had an item spirit. Little Kong would notify Night Sorrow. After leaving the space-time pagoda, Night Sorrow saw Lin Yuandao. Lin Yuandao had returned with Guo Shao and Lan Yuxuan. How was it? Night Sorrow asked. The hidden danger of the Ji family was completely dealt with. I also killed Su Mu. He is not even a venerable now. There is no need for you to kill him personally, Lin Yuandao said. Su Mu was not qualified to be Knight Soro's opponent. Therefore, he had killed him directly. There is no need to pay attention to him. Taking down the central province prefecture has given us a place to retreat. This is a good thing. There is no need for Ji Yuhao to stay, Knight Soro said. Hua Haining, who had come to greet Lin Yuandao after knowing that he had returned, turned and left. Knight Soro did not need to say anything. Everyone knew what to do. Next, Knight Soro went to the formation and met with Tai Shu Yan, Lu Qin, Jun Xuanji, and Xue Ji. That 9E Nether monarch is restless. However, she did not leave. She should know that we attacked the Nether realm. She might be waiting for something, Xueshi said. Seven Fiends monarch is not here. She really does not dare to leave. She knows that as soon as she leaves, we will attack this place. She knows very well how heavy their losses were last time. Therefore, she cannot bear it anymore, Knight Soro said. But she can't just watch our two teams destroy this place, Jun Xuanji said. No one will just watch. Therefore, there must be a plan. We just need to force them to use their trump cards. When they lose their trump cards, all they can do is take a beating, Knight Soro said. Then, if you were them, what would you do? Jun Xuanji asked. There is no good way. At most, we would send out demonic beasts and low-level cultivators to sweep the teleportation formation. Then, we would gather demonic beasts and gather them in the surrounding thousands of li. As long as someone who can use spatial travel appears, we would know immediately. This way, we can stabilize the situation. However, it is still a temporary solution, Knight Soro said. The main reason is that our Lord Commander's first move is very sharp. He has destroyed all their advantages, Tai Shu Yan said. At present, they are powerless to reverse the situation. Of course, we don't know if they have any trump cards. However, we do know that as long as we can occupy this spatial passage, we can fight however we want, Knight Soro said with a smile. That is the truth. Then, there is the battle of harassment and the battle of resources. This is the most troublesome part, Jun Xuanji said. Commander, have you thought about the final outcome of the battle? Lu Qin asked. You can read Myriad Dao Becomes a God for free. Chapter 887. Knight Soro entered the command tent and sat down on the main seat. Blue, one transportation formation has been destroyed. That's a big deal. Long Xiansheng and Saint Declaring won't be in danger. Xia Lanjun looked at Knight Soro and asked. It's not a big problem. Aside from the 9E Nether King and her clone, the others won't be able to threaten the safety of the two groups. As for setting up an ambush, my father and grandfather can use space. Ordinary ambushes won't work on them. Knight Soro said. You're right. However, the number of nether beasts and demon beasts they brought out is truly terrifying. Xia Lanjun said. Then I'll go kill them. Knight Soro thought for a moment. How are you going to kill so many? Tai Shu Yan asked. It's very simple. I'll just use poison. I have some poison water poison smoke refined by Elder Hua. I'll just throw it at the beasts. In any case, I have nothing to do right now. Knight Soro smiled. Then be careful. Lu Qin said worriedly. It's nothing. Also, continue to pay attention to the 9E Nether King. If the last transportation formation is destroyed, just crush my crystal, Knight Soro said. But if that transportation formation is destroyed, how are you going to come back? Yu Qing asked. It won't be a problem. I have this crystal in my hand. I can set up a transportation formation and come back at any time. Knight Soro smiled. Hearing Knight Soro's words, the others smiled and nodded. In this kind of situation, it would be too difficult for anyone to stop Knight Soro. Aside from Tianyu, Night Sorrow teleported everyone out of the spatial treasure pagoda. Then, he sat on the teleportation array and left the spatial tunnel. After leaving the transportation formation, Night Sorrow began to fly. After flying for tens of thousands of miles, Night Sorrow brought Tianyu out of the pagoda and controlled Tianyu to fly. At the same time, he began to throw poison bottles at the demon beasts and nether beasts. After flying alternately with Tianyu for over 10 days, Night Sorrow released all the poison bottles in his hand. Only then did he return to the location where he had set up the transportation formation and teleported back to the spatial channel. On the second day after Night Sorrow returned to the nether realm, a new situation appeared. A thick black fog had appeared outside the formation. Night Sorrow and the others were unable to investigate it because the black fog contained a very dense nether energy. It was extremely poisonous and would harm even the soul. Night Sorrow immediately asked Tai Shu Yen to crush Long Xiansheng and Xian Wenxiu's messaging crystal. Night Sorrow wasn't worried about whether Long Xiansheng, Xian Wenxiu, and the others would be able to teleport back. This was because they had teleported back and forth twice before the battle. The location of the transportation formation was marked on the map. Even if they were unlucky, they could just go to the second transportation formation after arriving at the first one. The two ambushing teams might not be a match for the 9 Nether King, but it wouldn't be a problem for them to escape. Moreover, the two teams had rich combat experience. When returning to the transportation formation, they would be very careful. The possibility of being ambushed was almost zero. Night Sorrow stood outside the formation and paid attention to it, but he couldn't see anything. After pondering for a moment, Night Sorrow tore through space and went to the Nether Realm camp to investigate. After entering the chaotic space and passing through the formation, Night Sorrow discovered a problem. The black nether energy was seeping into the chaotic space. With the power of laws protecting his body, Night Sorrow discovered that the power of laws of nothingness was also greatly consumed. After investigating, Night Sorrow also discovered something. There were no people in the original position of the Nether Realm camp. Instead, there were many ancient trees that were emitting a dense black energy. After probing for a bit, Night Sorrow's soul power had been corroded, and he had consumed a great deal of it. Furthermore, Night Sorrow could no longer stay in the chaotic streams of space because the chaotic streams of space also contained this kind of energy. After returning to the 9-domain world camp, Night Sorrow endured the discomfort and inspected the situation of the formation. Fortunately, with the isolation of the Great Cosmic Array, this kind of black nether energy was blocked outside the formation. In other words, the Great Cosmic Array was a safe distance away from the entrance of the spatial passage. I went to investigate. This kind of energy was released by some ancient trees. They have also retreated from this area. Night Sorrow said. Very powerful, to be able to obtain such a strange poisonous species. How do we deal with it now? Xia Lanjun asked. Wait for Long Xiansheng and the others to come back. Also, I don't have any more teleportation crystals. Are there teleportation crystals among the battle resources? I will go and bury some now. Otherwise, it will be difficult to pass through their blockade in the future. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said. Then, Tai Shu Yen handed over 7 or 8 teleportation crystals to Night Sorrow. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow had recently consumed a lot of teleportation crystals. Night Sorrow cut out the main body of the largest teleportation crystal. After making some splits, he arranged a teleportation array. After embedding the main body, he also embedded 7 splits of the teleportation crystals in his hand. Then, he nodded to everyone and sat on the first teleportation array to leave the spatial passage. After coming out of the only teleportation array that had not been discovered, Night Sorrow began to fly and began to lay down the groundwork. Every tens of thousands of li, or even hundreds of thousands of li, Night Sorrow would set up a teleportation array in a cave, in a pit, inside a towering ancient tree, and so on. Moreover, he would insert the splits of the teleportation crystals that he had just set up at the spatial passage. In other words, these teleportation arrays could be activated now. Of course, other than Night Sorrow, no one else would be able to use them because he had arranged 1,000 development illusionary array around the teleportation arrays. It was an array formation that no one else could break except him. Perhaps they could use force to remove it, but the teleportation array would also be destroyed at the same time. After arranging the teleportation crystals in his hand into a teleportation array, Night Sorrow teleported back to the spatial passage. City Lord Taishu, send someone to guard it. The 7 teleportation crystals above are all lit up, which means that all 7 teleportation arrays can be used. If there is an extinguished one, tell me. If they have the ability, they can dismantle all 7 of them. Night Sorrow said to Taishu Yen, who had walked over. Taishu Yen nodded and arranged for someone to guard the teleportation array. Entering the tent, Night Sorrow noticed that Long Xiansheng and the others still hadn't returned. He was a bit worried because it had been a while since the news had been sent. Furthermore, spatial travel was no longer as smooth as before. That black netherworld chi had even seeped into the spatial barrier. Even if Yi Wuyo and Yi Linghuan were to break through space, it would be extremely difficult for them to travel through it. Just as Night Sorrow was considering whether or not he should go out to help, Long Xiansheng and the others returned. It was the 2 groups that had returned together. What's going on? That 9 Nether King isn't here. Then let's kill our way over, said Long Xiansheng. Night Sorrow shook his head. Right now, the most important thing was how to deal with the ancient netherworld tree. After that, Night Sorrow explained the situation to everyone. He told them about the predicament they were in. This move is pretty vicious. It's a double-edged sword. Even their people are afraid. I wonder how they got their hands on it, said Long Xiansheng. You can read a myriad Daos become gods for free. Chapter 888. Let's stabilize the situation first, then figure out how to break it. Both teams are doing well, said Night Sorrow. Blue Emperor, it's going well. Nether Realm will need a long time to recover, said Long Xiansheng. We don't have anything to worry about. Our formation is a natural barrier. They won't be able to break in. In addition, the Great Cosmic Formation has the ability to isolate energy. The nether poison gas won't be able to invade. Night Sorrow was still very confident because he still had the initiative. Nether Realm was still in a defensive state. At this time, the Nether Realm's camp had retreated 100 miles. There was no dark nether gas. Inside the command tent, 9 Dark King was talking to an old man. The old man was wearing a black robe with black tree patterns, but his face was incomparably ruddy. 8th Hell King, isn't your lifespan coming to an end? What's going on? Asked 9 Dark King. After sensing that I didn't have much time left in my lifespan, I went to the underworld tree ocean, intending to leave my body there and reincarnate. However, I didn't expect that I would encounter a special opportunity and fuse with an ancient underworld tree. The fusion was successful not long ago. I didn't expect such a situation to occur in the underworld realm, said the old man, who was the 8th Hell King. Then, 9 Dark King explained the current predicament. 8th Hell King, if we don't break their formation now, we won't be able to break in, said 9 Dark King. This king brought a lot of netherworld trees. Perhaps it's time for the Medicine Valley to rise, said Long Xiansheng. Night Sorrow's rise has brought an opportunity for the Medicine Valley. Moreover, they are a group of people who are eager to improve themselves. The Medicine Valley will become a first-rate force in the 9 regions in the future. It's just a matter of time, said Wu Lingfei. If Wu Lingfei had started to pay attention to the Medicine Valley because of Night Sorrow, then the performance of the Medicine Valley's people had also made her think highly of them. Yes, it can be said that the future of this sect is limitless. Long Xiansheng nodded his head. He also hoped to see the rise of the Eastern Profound Domain. Senior Long Xiansheng, Night Sorrow wants to set up a cultivator's palace. It's to let the talented children of the 9 regions world and the Profound Mysteries world enter. I want to tell him that this cultivator's palace will be set up in our Eastern Profound Domain. Wu Lingfei said. That's a good idea. However, there will definitely be people who will object to it. You might as well not bring it up and just tell Night Sorrow about it directly. Once he makes the decision, those fellows can only stare at it helplessly. Long Xianqing chuckled. Wu Lingfei smiled and nodded. She understood what Long Xianqing meant. In fact, she also had the same idea. She was just asking for Long Xuanqing's opinion. As long as one had foresight, they would understand that this cultivator's palace would definitely be a force that could influence the 9-domain world and the profound mysteries realm in the future. The location of its establishment was very important. If it was established in the Eastern Profound Domain, it would only be beneficial to the Eastern Profound Domain in the future. No matter who suggested it, there would be objections. But since Night Sorrow had spoken, the others could only agree. The first free reading of Myriad Daos Become Gods. Chapter 889. After cultivating in the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda for 3 months, Night Sorrow stood up, stretched his neck, and flashed out of the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda. Night Sorrow first entered the formation to patrol, then frowned. He discovered that the ancient tree of the Netherworld was growing very quickly. Its roots were already extending towards the Great Cycle Formation. After having the patrolling formation masters leave, Night Sorrow waved his hand and threw out spirit stones, activating the 1000 Development Illusionary Formation. The 1000 Development Illusionary Formation targeted consciousness, thoughts, and souls. As long as one had consciousness or thoughts, they would be affected. Since the ancient tree of the Netherworld had already gained sentience, Night Sorrow activated the 1000 Development Illusionary Formation. The formation didn't only target the ground, but also the air and underground. Otherwise, flying and digging holes could break the formation. The formation wasn't that important and difficult to break. Therefore, if the ancient tree of the Netherworld wanted to break the formation by growing underground, it would also be affected by the 1000 Development Illusionary Formation. After coming out of the formation, Night Sorrow didn't go to the command tent because he didn't have any orders to give. Just as Night Sorrow was wondering if he should let Sikong Chuyu and the others out for some fresh air, Wu Lingfei came to Night Sorrow's tent. "Aunt Fei, you're here. Have a seat. I was just about to make some tea." Night Sorrow greeted her with a smile. "The commander personally made tea. Aunt Fei's treatment is quite good." Wu Lingfei smiled and found a place to sit. "Don't mention the commander. Even if I become a sage king or heavenly king, I'll still make tea for you," Night Sorrow said as he made tea. "Aunt Fei likes to hear that. Have some tea first. Aunt Fei will bring you to meet a few people. Also, I have some things to discuss with you," Wu Lingfei said. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't ask what it was. He knew that Wu Lingfei would tell him what she needed to tell him. She had her reasons for not telling him now. After drinking tea, Wu Lingfei brought Night Sorrow to the Eastern Xian region's camp and entered the command tent. Lei Hua and Kuan Nan stood up and bowed. Then, they invited Wu Lingfei and Night Sorrow to sit inside. After asking around, concubine Wu Lingfei asked Lei Hua to bring the people of Medicine Valley to the main tent. "Someone from the Medicine Valley is here." "That's not right. If I don't go and pick them up, they won't be able to pass through that spatial passageway." Night Sorrow thought for a moment and figured out the problem. Due to the maturation of Dongshuan's origin and the strengthening of Eastern Xian's laws, the supreme river space was suppressed. "That's why they were able to enter," said Wu Lingfei. "Aunt Fei is already a 3-star saint." "Congratulations, Aunt Fei." At this moment, Night Sorrow noticed Wu Lingfei's cultivation. He stood up and cupped his hands towards Wu Lingfei. He also remembered that he hadn't gone to pick up Lin Yuandao and the others a few days ago. Lin Yuandao, Lan Yushuan and Xia Lanjun had also passed through the spatial channel. "Don't be so courteous. This is what Dongshuan's origin gave me," Wu Lingfei said with a smile. At this time, Lei Hua brought the 3 venerables of the Medicine Valley into the command tent. After Yu Yangyu and the other 2 bowed to Wu Lingfei, Night Sorrow also bowed to them. After Wu Lingfei waved her hand, everyone took their seats. "Night Sorrow, you're a saint now?" Yu Yang Yu looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I entered the Saint Realm some time ago. Because I had many things to do, I didn't have time to report to you, Master, said Night Sorrow. You have many things to do. You don't have to worry about me. Just go back to the Medicine Valley more often when you have time, said Yu Yang Yu with a shake of his head. Master's kindness is greater than the heavens. This disciple dares not, said Night Sorrow as he stood up and bowed after hearing Yu Yang Yu's words. Night Sorrow, what are you doing? Your path is outside. Don't be hindered by me and the Medicine Valley. Yu Yang Yu helped Night Sorrow up and asked Night Sorrow to sit down before he sat down. The 8-Dragon Cauldron has already informed us of this matter. Our Medicine Valley has also carried out a sacrifice to the heavens and ancestors. You've done well. The first elder nodded at Night Sorrow. The development of the Medicine Valley is not easy. I used to stay in seclusion in the Ice-Snow Mountain all year round and didn't know much about the Medicine Valley. Now that the Medicine Valley has its inheritance, there won't be any problems with its future development. Not to mention anything else, just the reputation of the commander of 2 worlds, Night Sorrow, will attract many talents, said Wu Lingfei with a smile. It's not that serious, said Night Sorrow with a smile. It's that serious. Last year, before you became the commander, our Medicine Valley's disciple recruitment ceremony was filled with a sea of people. They all came because of Night Sorrow's name. Hua Yunpeng nodded seriously. Night Sorrow, Aunt Fei has something to tell you. It's about the establishment of the Cultivator's Palace. Wu Lingfei said what she had been wanting to say for a long time. Aunt Fei, you're talking about the establishment of the Cultivator's Palace of 2 worlds with my resources? Asked Night Sorrow. Yes, Aunt Fei wants to see if the Cultivator's Palace can be established in the Eastern Profound Domain, said Wu Lingfei with a smile. Of course. Then let's get started a little later. We can directly establish the headquarters in the Eastern Profound Domain. The name Cultivator's Palace is a little bad, said Night Sorrow. After that, everyone discussed and felt that it would be great if the Cultivator's Palace could produce more saints. Thus, they named it the Saint Hall with great expectations. Then Aunt Fei will arrange it. If anyone from the commander's manor objects, Aunt Fei will say it was your idea, said Wu Lingfei with a smile. They're not satisfied, said I. This king has been studying formations recently. His cultivation in formations has already reached the Grandmaster level. Let's study some more formations and see if there's any way to break them, said the 9 Nether King. Everyone, let's think of a way. This king will trap this place to death. Other than that, we have to hurry up with the matter of their transportation formations, said the 8 Hell Kings. Night Sorrow was calmly cultivating in the space-time pagoda. When he had time, he would go and get some essence blood from the 4-clawed silver dragon. He didn't want to use up the life spirit elixir. He wanted to read Myriad Daos Become a God for free. Chapter 890. After cultivating for a month, Night Sorrow went to the 60th floor of the space-time pagoda to rest. What are you thinking about? You look like you have a lot on your mind. She looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Last time, you said there are 4-clawed silver dragons behind the Silver Demon Villa. How long will it take to get there? Night Sorrow asked. It's hard to say. You need 4-clawed silver dragon's essence blood, right? I'll go there for you. She said. That's fine. But just find the dead 4-clawed silver dragons and get some essence blood. There's no need to kill them for what I need. Night Sorrow said. You're overthinking it. 4-clawed silver dragons love to kill. They're also a race that commits all sorts of evil. They often capture human women. It's a heinous crime. Killing them isn't too much. She naturally knew what Night Sorrow was thinking. He just didn't want to kill. Then do as you see fit. Be careful. Night Sorrow said. Then, Night Sorrow let She out of the space-time pagoda and asked her to help him. After sending She off, Night Sorrow went to check on the formation again. Seeing that it was very stable, he returned to the space-time pagoda to cultivate. Half a year passed in the blink of an eye. Of course, only 2 months had passed in the real world. With the spacetime pagoda's 3 times acceleration and enough energy, Night Sorrow's cultivation rapidly increased. Now, he was not far from the peak of the 1-star Saint realm. With the help of the myriad Daos tome and the life spirit liquid, he was also approaching the peak of the 1-star golden body realm. The improvement of his soul power was also very obvious. His divine sea, which was originally empty except for the god orb, was now surrounded by soul power in the form of purple mist. In addition, the 6th bloodline talent under his dragon bones was also becoming more and more loose. He was not far from completely activating it. Night Sorrow came out of seclusion this time because he felt the vibration of the snow dusk god orb. Outside the spacetime pagoda, Night Sorrow saw Xuexi. How was it? Did it go well? It went smoothly. They were the unlucky ones. I hadn't even reached their territory when they appeared and grabbed me, saying that they wanted to offer me to their king. You know what happened in the end, Xuexi said with a smile. That's good. Thank you for your hard work. I'll go check on the array before heading to the Supreme River Dimension to catch a beast. We'll have some barbecue and some wine, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Night Sorrow looked inside the array and found that the ancient tree of the netherworld was growing very quickly. Although it could not invade the array, it had already surrounded the periphery of the array. However, Night Sorrow did not mind. It would be fine as long as he did not break the array. In addition, Night Sorrow was also thinking about how to deal with the ancient netherworld tree. He did not know what the ancient netherworld tree was afraid of, but it definitely had a weakness. After exiting the array, Night Sorrow called for his parents. He then brought the pagoda of time and space to the god-slaying team's camp. After transferring Seakomb Chuyu and the others out, Night Sorrow got Tianyu to catch a beast. Then, he went to Night Moon Dynasty to bring Papa Gu and Yin Yanxiao over. It had been a long time since he had eaten barbecue and wine. Night Sorrow ate very comfortably. After they were done eating, Yi Shang led his men out of the god-slaying team's campsite. Everyone went back to cultivating. Xuexi also gave the silver dragon blood essence to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow arranged everyone's cultivation before entering the 73rd floor of the Pagoda of Time and Space to begin cultivating. The silver dragon was a venerable level demon beast. When its blood essence left its body, it would become a blood crystal. Night Sorrow held the silver dragon blood crystal and began cultivating by absorbing the energy within it. At the same time, he was constantly trying to break through the 6th bloodline energy point. Within the command tent, Xia Lanjun looked at Yi Wuyo. After thinking for a moment, she said, Night Sorrow's cultivation base is rising too quickly. You need to persuade him not to ruin his foundation. It shouldn't be a problem. The Pagoda of Time and Space is a sage treasure. It has the ability to accelerate time. Our time in the real world might be different from the time he cultivates, Yi Wuyo said. So that's how it is. It seems I've been worrying for nothing. Xia Lanjun nodded after hearing Yi Wuyo's words. Yi Shang had been working hard on his cultivation. As time passed, his cultivation level increased rapidly. After a month, Night Sorrow's true energy cultivation base was on the verge of a breakthrough. However, he didn't break through. He was suppressing it. It was the same for his myriad Daos treasured cannon. On this day, Lei Hua came to Wu Lingfei's tent and told her that he had finished cultivating in the Sacred Hall's headquarters. Wu Lingfei nodded. She was waiting for Night Sorrow to come out of seclusion. If Night Sorrow brought it up, this matter could be put on the table. Since his true energy cultivation base and myriad Daos treasured cannon cultivation base couldn't increase, Night Sorrow stabilized his cultivation base. At the same time, he worked hard to break through the bloodline energy points. After a few days of hard work, gray streaks of energy appeared on Night Sorrow's body. Spatial law power. Night Sorrow knew that it was spatial law power. This situation made him very happy. He had the power of law, so he could comprehend it at any time in the future. The 6th spatial energy point was very big and could store a lot of spatial energy. This made Yi Shang even happier than leveling up or advancing. This meant that there was a lot of room for improvement. After sensing his body, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion. He also wanted to see the situation of the formation. He didn't want his opponent to have any trump cards that he didn't know. After coming out of the formation, Night Sorrow went to the command tent. It had been a long time since he had seen the saints, so he should pay his respects. There were many people in the command tent. Seeing Night Sorrow come in, they were all shocked because Night Sorrow's body was filled with spatial law power. Shang, you've unlocked your 6th bloodline energy point? Yi Linghuan looked at Night Sorrow excitedly. Yes, I just unlocked it. Now I have to continue cultivating. Night Sorrow walked to the empty main seat and sat down. Just do it steadily. Yi Linghuan was still very excited. As for the ancient netherworld tree, I think it's afraid of fire. Let's see if we can find a strange flame. Night Sorrow looked at the group of people and asked. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. Also, Commander, the sacred hall you arranged has been completed. You can make the next arrangements, said Wu Lingfei. What's sacred hall? Jun Xuanji asked. Didn't we talk about finding a place to cultivate for the talented children of the 2 realms who have no one to take care of them? I arranged for Auntie Fei to take care of this matter. It's already been arranged. I hope that this cultivator's palace will produce more saints, so it's called the Holy Hall, said Yi Shang. Commander, you really put a lot of effort into this matter. Xian Wenxiu and the others cupped their hands at Night Sorrow. They didn't care where the sacred hall was. As long as it could give the children of the profound mysteries realm a chance, they would be happy. At this moment, many people looked at Wu Lingfei enviously. Because the sacred hall was in the eastern Xian region, it would definitely be good for the future development of the eastern Xian region. Very good. Commander, you must have a plan for the sacred hall's development and implementation, said Long Xiansheng. He was very happy that this matter had been put on the agenda so quickly. You can read Myriad Tao Ascension for free. Chapter 891. Then I'll tell you what I think. The Sacred Hall is mainly divided into 3 parts. The first part is the Elite Hall, which is where the gifted children will be taught and provided with uniform resources. The second part is the Ordinary Hall, which will be taught according to the general teaching methods of the sects. The third part is the Rescue Hall, which is where we will raise these children and teach them according to their aptitude. What kind of talent they have, will be placed there in the future. Night Sorrow spoke his thoughts. Very good. This is equivalent to giving them a chance. No matter how talented they are, they will be able to live well. Xian Wenxiu said. Setting up the Holy Hall in the eastern Xian region might be a little selfish on my part. After all, I grew up in the eastern Xian region, and I have special feelings for it. Night Sorrow said. That's not a big deal. There are many teleportation channels now. It's more convenient no matter where it is. Shang Luo said. Then let's do it. Yin Tianlong said. I will provide the resources. You can send the children who are affected by the war. Night Sorrow said. We won't cheat you. This matter will be arranged by the commander's residence. As for the people who will teach the children, we will slowly look into it. Heavenly Underworld Saint said. The other thing is to find the ultimate fire. I don't believe that the ancient netherworld tree is not afraid of fire. Let me know if there's any news. I still have to go into seclusion to make a breakthrough. I'll have to trouble you all. I'm very sorry. Night Sorrow said apologetically. After that, Night Sorrow returned to his tent and sorted out the resources. He kept a portion of the high-grade spirit stones and took out the rest. There were also pills. Aside from the pills above the 5th rank, he also sorted them out. At this time, Wu Lingfei and Long Xianxing came to Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow, Aunt Fei is ashamed. It's clearly our idea, but you have to take the blame. Wu Lingfei said, a little embarrassed. Aunt Fei, what are you saying? I'm just speaking from my heart. I'm from the eastern Xian region, and I have feelings for it. So, I'll be selfish this time. Night Sorrow said with a smile. This is my and the Domain Lord's idea. It's indeed not very suitable for you to take the lead. However, it doesn't matter. We are the three saints of the Eastern Profound Domain. It doesn't matter who takes the lead. Long Xianxing said. Night Sorrow then handed the resources he had sorted out to Wu Lingfei. Auntie Fei, these are some low-level resources. Use them for the construction of the Saint Hall. Wu Lingfei nodded and accepted the gift. Ultimate fire is not easy to find, Long Xianxing said. I need time, Night Sorrow said after some thought. I don't quite understand what you mean. Long Xianxing was stunned for a moment before he said. Night Sorrow then said that there was a huge lava lake in the Void Fiend space. The fire energy was very violent, but he couldn't control the Void Fiend space right now, so he couldn't bring the lava lake here. Time is also a matter of time. We can wait. As long as there's a way to break it, it's enough. That's the opportunity to change the situation. Long Xianxing nodded and said. The problem of the ancient netherworld tree made everyone depressed. If this problem wasn't solved, the battle wouldn't be easy. Moreover, the battle of resources and harassment wouldn't be easy to carry out. If they couldn't find out the situation of the other party, they would have to bear a huge risk. Then, Long Xianxing and Wu Lingfei left. Night Sorrow entered the space-time treasure pagoda and began to cultivate. He had many cultivation problems to solve now. His Jin Qi and Myriad Daos treasured tome needed to level up, his soul power and bloodline talent needed to improve, and he also needed to comprehend the spatial laws. After sorting out his thoughts, Night Sorrow planned to level up his cultivation first. Then, he would strengthen his soul power and bloodline talent while he stabilized his cultivation base. At the same time, he would comprehend the spatial laws. Night Sorrow took 6 days to level up his Jin Qi and Myriad Daos treasured tome. Then, he began to stabilize his cultivation base and bloodline talent. At the same time, he would comprehend the spatial laws. While Night Sorrow was working hard on his cultivation, the 9 regions world and profound mysteries realm were operating the sage halls. In terms of resources, Night Sorrow took out a portion of it. It was definitely enough. As for the children to be nurtured, they mainly came from the profound mysteries realm and western nether region. As for the task of teaching the children, the 9 regions world sent out people. The cultivation of the teachers who taught Haozi in the early stages didn't need to be too high. After all, the children had never cultivated before. The difference between a sage and a severed soul stage cultivator wasn't that big. As for the 2 overseers, they were waiting for Night Sorrow's decision. One was Long Xianxing, and the other was Xian Wenxiu. Long Xianxing didn't belong to any sect, so it was suitable for him to oversee the sage halls. As for Xian Wenxiu, he wanted to see the children of the profound mysteries realm grow up smoothly, so he took the initiative to ask for something to do in the sage halls. The candidate for the hall master is Night Sorrow. Senior Long and Senior Xian Wenxiu can oversee the sage halls. Now, we need to arrange for people to work, Xia Longjun said with a smile. This problem should be discussed after Night Sorrow comes out. We can't leave the hall master aside. This matter is settled, Heavenly Underworld Saint said. The operations of the sage halls were carried out in an orderly manner. The higher-ups of the 2 worlds did their best to deal with this matter, but the hall master didn't appear. After cultivating for 3 months, Night Sorrow came out. After Night Sorrow came out, he was brought to the command tent by Xia Longjun. Everyone talked about the construction of the sage halls. The children of the Profound Mysteries realm have been sent to the Profound Mysteries Royal City. They can be sent directly to the Sage Hall's headquarters later, Jun Xuanji said. I've also taken a look at the Sage Hall's headquarters. There's no problem in nurturing 2,000 to 3,000 people in the early stages. The Dongxian City Lord's mansion will be responsible for the daily expenses, Wu Lingfei said. Then, everyone talked about the matter of the Vice Hall Master and asked Night Sorrow for his opinion. Martial Uncle Great Uncle, I'll let Sword Sovereign Northski spend more effort on the Northern Sea domain. Marshal Uncle Great-Uncle will take the Vice Hall Master position. Elder June, you understand the situation of the Profound Mysteries realm. You can take the Vice Hall Master position. Also, City Lord Lu will be in charge of the resources. What do you all think? Knight Sorrow glanced at everyone in the command tent and made a series of decisions. Hearing Knight Sorrow's arrangements, no one had any objections because they were very suitable. With your arrangements, there's nothing for you to do. Tai Shu Yen shook his head helplessly. Capable people should do more work. Also, all the members of the commander's mansion should visit the sage halls when you're free. Whether it's in terms of cultivation or morals, you have to pay attention to those children. They might be the future of our two worlds, Knight Sorrow said. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, everyone nodded. Also, it's more stable here. Elder June, please arrange for me to go to the Profound Mysteries realm to burn incense and pay respects to those who died in the war and apologize to those who are still alive, Knight Sorrow said. Commander, there's no need for that. It will damage your reputation. Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo stood up. Many people died in the war between our two worlds. It's impossible to say that there's no hatred in my heart. I'll resolve as much as I can. Reputation is not important. Heaven is watching what we do. Knight Sorrow waved his hand and insisted on his decision. You can read Myriad Tao Ascension for free. Chapter 892. Hearing Knight Sorrow's words, everyone fell silent. What was this? This was magnanimity and breadth of mind, as well as courage. It was also a kind of comprehension that ordinary people couldn't have. A basket of books, Commander, why don't you reconsider? Prestige and prestige don't come easily. It's easy to lose a person's luck. Jun Xuanji said. That's right. It's all because of the war. It has nothing to do with a person. Tai Shu Yen also tried to persuade Knight Sorrow. I know everyone is doing this for my own good. My prestige comes from the war. If I can avoid the war, then I'd rather not have this prestige and prestige. Elder June, arrange for it to be in Profound Secrets Imperial City. The more the better. Inform me when you're done. Knight Sorrow finished speaking and left the command tent. He's stubborn. Once he's decided, it's impossible to persuade him. Wu Lingfei sighed. Everyone, don't stop this. He said that the heavens are watching. This goes straight to the heart. Some things can't be judged from the surface. Long Xianqing said. Knight Sorrow returned to his tent and brewed a pot of tea. At this time, Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing entered the tent. Son, mother, and father will accompany you. Yu Qing looked at Knight Sorrow and said. She was worried that Knight Sorrow was under pressure. Okay. Thank you, mother and father. It's nothing. Everyone has to face some things. What you do, you have to bear the consequences. Knight Sorrow said. This is a man's responsibility. Yi Wuyo nodded. After staying for a while and seeing that Knight Sorrow was fine, Yi Wuyo and his wife left. Then, Knight Sorrow returned to the 73rd floor of the Spacetime Pagoda and began to cultivate and comprehend the laws of space. Everything in the 9-domain world was proceeding in an orderly manner. Knight Sorrow was also cultivating peacefully. Knight Sorrow cultivated for nearly a month. After 10 days in the real world, he was awakened by Shao Kong. Someone outside the Spacetime Pagoda was calling for Knight Sorrow. Coming out of the Spacetime Treasure Pagoda, Knight Sorrow saw Jun Xuanji and another man. Jun Xuanji introduced the man to Knight Sorrow. This man was the mysterious Heaven Sword Sect Master, Yu Feng. In addition, Knight Sorrow had finished his business in the Profound Mysteries realm. In that case, I'll patrol this place first. We'll head over tomorrow. Knight Sorrow nodded at Yu Feng and told him the time to go to the Profound Mysteries realm. Sect Master Yu, please go back and make the necessary arrangements, Jun Xuanji instructed Yu Feng. After bowing to Knight Sorrow, Yu Feng left. He knew that this was a serious matter. If something went wrong, it would be serious. Xian Wenxiu and Shang Luo could strangle him to death. A few days ago, they had repeatedly reminded him to take care of this matter. Knight Sorrow entered the array formation and inspected it. He found that the ancient netherworld tree was very ferocious. It had completely surrounded the array formation area, but it still couldn't invade the grand array. This situation made Knight Sorrow feel very relieved, as long as the array formation was stable. After patrolling, Knight Sorrow went to the command tent. Long Xianqing said, "We'll go with you tomorrow." Knight Sorrow said, "We need someone to guard this place. I'll stay here. You guys go." Yun Tianlong expressed his willingness to stay and guard the array formation. Knight Sorrow thought about it and agreed. In addition, he had Xueshi stay behind to help Yun Tianlong guard this place. He also told everyone to gather at the entrance of the spatial channel. If there was a problem with the array formation, they were to attack the ancient tree outside the spatial channel. The 1,000 derivation killing formation would activate, and Xueshi would be able to contact Knight Sorrow immediately. Knight Sorrow spent the night in the spacetime pagoda with his 3 fiancées. The next day, Knight Sorrow and the higher-ups of the 2 realms left the spatial channel through the transmission array. When they left the Medicine Valley spatial channel, everyone was stunned. A golden light had appeared in the sky and landed on Knight Sorrow's body. Light of Virtue Max 5 at this time, there was a clear halo of light behind Knight Sorrow's head. Knight Sorrow, your virtue has already reached a point where it's visible. It's very rare, said Long Xianqing. There's also this golden light around my spirit sea, but it doesn't have any effect, said Knight Sorrow. The effect is very strong. It can be said that in the 9 regions world, anyone who tries to harm you will be punished by the heavens, said Yibuyo. Knight Sorrow nodded. He knew that he had done a lot of good deeds for the 9 regions world, but he didn't really care about that. Following this, they continuously teleported until they reached the entrance of the Profound Mysteries realm. Wait a moment. At that moment, Yishanyu walked over to Yishan and took out a set of King's battle armor. She helped Yishan put it on. Don't feel too much pressure. Night Moon Dynasty will always stand behind you. Thank you, Great Aunt. Yishang nodded. At this moment, his heart felt warm. Following this, they teleported to the Profound Mysteries Imperial City. At this time, the Profound Mysteries Imperial City was filled with people. From the City Lord's mansion to the plaza in front of the City Lord's mansion, both sides of the street were filled with people. There was also a special group of children who were going to be sent to the Sacred Hall. Under Jun Xuanji's lead, Yishang walked towards the square. There was an inscription there, the war inscription, commemorating those who had died in the war. Jun Xuanji took out some incense and handed it to Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow took the incense and lit it. Then he bowed to the tablet and inserted it into the cauldron. After thinking for a moment, Knight Sorrow took off his king battle armor in front of everyone's eyes. Why is that? Knight Xinyue asked in confusion. It's my fault. It has nothing to do with Night Moon, said Knight Sorrow as he walked onto the stage. At this time, Xian Wenxiu and Jun Xuanji also followed Knight Sorrow onto the stage. Walking onto the stage, Knight Sorrow looked at the countless people from the Profound Mysteries realm. The war from before brought great harm to the Profound Mysteries realm. Many people lost their families and homes. I, Knight Sorrow, am here to pay my respects to everyone. After saying this, Knight Sorrow bowed. Perhaps some people might say that this was war and that I was innocent. However, I was the one who commanded the war and gave the orders, so I am guilty. I, Knight Sorrow, will bear all of this. I will also do my best to erase the pain brought by this war. I hope that this will be the last time the Profound Mysteries realm and the 9 regions world will suffer. In the future, there will be no more conflicts between the 2 realms. This generation is destined to suffer. What I hope is to build a foundation of happiness and peace for the future generations, said Knight Sorrow as he bowed again. At this moment, a white-haired old woman walked out with a walking stick. Some guards tried to stop her, but but Night Sorrow waved his hand and forced the guards to retreat. I lost 2 sons in this war, but I also understand that as the commander of the 9 regions world, winning the war for the 9 regions world is your responsibility. I don't blame you. I just want to ask, is the Profound Mysteries realm the same as the 9 regions world in your eyes? If the Profound Mysteries realm makes things difficult for you, will the 9 regions world be willing to help? The white-haired old woman asked Night Sorrow. Yi Shan walked down from the high platform and bowed to the old woman. Elder, I'm sorry for the pain I've caused you. As for your questions, I'll answer them now. Download Myriad Daos Become Gods. Chapter 893. In my eyes, both the Profound Mysteries realm and the 9 regions world are important. If anything happens to the Profound Mysteries realm, I'll definitely stand up. I definitely will. Old lady, don't worry. I'm a man, and I have the responsibility of a man. Lan Shu. Night Sorrow said. This old lady believes that as the commander of 2 realms, for you to stand up and burn incense for those who died in battle and apologize to those who are still alive, this is your responsibility. The white-haired old lady bowed to Night Sorrow. Senior, there's no need for this. Night Sorrow helped the old lady up and arranged for her to sit down on the side. Night Sorrow then returned to the high platform. This matter wasn't over yet. Commander, Xian Wenxiu has something to say. Xian Wenxiu looked at Night Sorrow and said. Senior Xian, please. Night Sorrow took 2 steps back. Xian Wenxiu took 2 steps forward and bowed to everyone. The war was started by the Profound Mysteries realm. If there's any fault, it's the fault of the leaders of the Profound Mysteries realm. It has nothing to do with Commander Night Sorrow. The other 9 regions world, under the commander's suggestion, are now fully funding the reconstruction of the Profound Mysteries realm. Everyone has seen the current situation, so there's no need for hatred. Xian Wenxiu was a person of virtue and prestige in the Profound Mysteries realm. Many people understood why he bowed. In addition, the commander has also decided to establish a holy hall, a hall for cultivators. The children who lost their loved ones in the war can all cultivate in the holy hall. The early resources will be provided by the commander. This is equivalent to giving our children a chance in the future. As for hatred, this lord has also felt it because the Jun family was almost wiped out. However, the commander said that we live in an era of pain. It's enough if our children can be happy in the future, Jun Xuanji said. Everyone, don't worry. I will treat them as my brothers and sisters, as my own children. I will do my best to support them so that they can have a bright future. Please accept Night Sorrow's apology. Night Sorrow bowed again. As Night Sorrow bowed, everyone in the Profound Mysteries realm bowed in response to Night Sorrow. Everyone had their own thoughts and understood what war was all about. Night Sorrow was willing to stand up and bear the consequences even though he wasn't in the wrong. This earned everyone's respect, because if he wasn't in the wrong, there would be no forgiveness, only respect. The people of the Profound Mysteries realm were also very grateful. If it weren't for the support of the 9 domains world, who knew how long it would have taken for them to recover? Just as everyone bowed, another golden light appeared in the sky and landed on Night Sorrow's body. That was the power of virtue of the Profound Mysteries realm. Night Sorrow once again talked about the complementary development policy of the 2 worlds and ended the meeting. Jun Xuanji invited Night Sorrow to the City Lord's mansion, but Night Sorrow didn't have the nerve to accept. After all, he had dealt a heavy blow to the Jun family. How could he have the nerve to sit there? So he directly took a teleportation array and left. The higher-ups of the 9 domains world also followed Night Sorrow out of the Profound Mysteries realm. This matter is very satisfactory. Martial Ant, I'll have to trouble you with the construction of the Sacred Hall, Night Sorrow said to Tai Shu Yen. No problem. Also, Martial Ant doesn't understand. Why didn't you arrange something for your Aunt Fei to do? Tai Shu Yen glanced at Wu Lingfei. My Aunt Fei likes peace and quiet. She probably isn't good at these things, so I didn't make things difficult for her, Night Sorrow said with a smile. It's still Night Sorrow who understands me. Junior Marshall's sister Taishu, don't hold me back. This isn't something I like or am good at. I don't really care about the Eastern Xian region's matters, Wu Lingfei said with a smile. Everyone smiled. They all understood Wu Lingfei's personality. She was a bit cold and didn't interact much with others. It was only when she was with Night Sorrow that she spoke casually. Normally, she didn't have much to say. After returning to the Netherworld Realm spatial channel, Night Sorrow patrolled the array formation area. After talking to everyone, he put Tianyu, Yimei, and Sikong Chuyu into the Spacetime Pagoda. Just as Night Sorrow was about to enter the Spacetime Pagoda, Xueshi came and also wanted to enter. I originally wanted to let you get some fresh air outside. You don't need it, Night Sorrow said with a smile. I also want to cultivate. I want to break through to the 7-star Saint Realm, so it's better to work hard, said Xueshi. Night Sorrow nodded and brought Xueshi to the 70th floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. After ordering a pot of tea from Xueshi, Xueshi helped Night Sorrow nourish his body. Night Sorrow then went to the 73rd floor of the Spacetime Pagoda to cultivate. Time slowly passed, and Night Sorrow's cultivation became more and more stable. His bloodline talent was also rapidly increasing. In addition, he also slowly gained a basic understanding of the laws of space. Every once in a while, Night Sorrow would come out of the Spacetime Pagoda to patrol the array formation. Then, he would continue cultivating. In the blink of an eye, a year had passed in the real world. Night Sorrow had been cultivating in the Spacetime Pagoda for 3 years. During these 3 years, Night Sorrow's cultivation had risen to the 3-star Saint Realm. His myriad Dao treasured canon cultivation had also reached the 3-star Golden Body Realm. His soul power and bloodline talent had also increased greatly. Most importantly, he had already grasped the laws of space. Compared to a year ago, Night Sorrow's strength was like the difference between heaven and earth. After grasping the laws of space, Night Sorrow's speed had reached a terrifying level. As for the situation of the war, it was still in a stalemate. The other side was unable to break through the array, and the 9 regions world's camp was also unable to break through the ancient netherworld tree's entanglement. Night Sorrow wasn't in a hurry. That was because the Void Fiendish Space and the Void Fate Pearl were still fusing. When he could control the Void Fiendish Space, then he would be able to control everything within the Void Fiendish Space. Destroying the ancient netherworld tree wouldn't be a problem. Every time he came out of the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow would go to the Sacred Hall. That was because the current situation of the children there was caused by the war. He hoped that the children would be able to have a good life and walk out of the pain. Once again, he went to the Sacred Hall. Taishu Yen brought Night Sorrow to the martial arts practice field where everyone was cultivating. Seeing Night Sorrow's arrival, all the cultivator children stood up straight and called out to the hall master. Night Sorrow came in front of a girl and squatted down to straighten the girl's slightly wrinkled skirt. Are you tired from cultivating? Replying to the hall master, I'm tired, but July can persevere. The little girl looked at Night Sorrow and said. Then why did you choose to cultivate the spear? Night Sorrow asked. Because the hall master cultivates the spear, the girl called July said. Very good. I'll come every once in a while. If you have any cultivation problems, you can come and find me. Night Sorrow said to July. Commander, many children are cultivating the spear now. As for the understanding of the Tao of the spear, no one is better than you. Tell the children about your understanding of the Tao of the spear, Taishu Yen said. Night Sorrow nodded and took out his reincarnation spear. Actually, no matter what weapon you use, the weapon is an extension of the body. You have to respect the weapon and give it emotions. Also, tell me about some of my thoughts. Sword arts can take the path of agility, but spear arts can't. Cultivating the spear arts can't lack speed, strength, and flexibility. You have to develop it in all aspects. Night Sorrow talked about his feelings about cultivating the spear arts. Click Myriad Dao becomes a god to read for free. Chapter 894. A boy stood up and asked, "Didn't you say that we need to focus on one area and cultivate our strengths?" Blue, how much water a barrel can hold isn't decided by the highest plank, but by the lowest plank. Without speed, you won't be able to hit anyone even if you have strength. If you have speed but no strength, your attack power will be low. Night Sorrow said to the boy. "Thank you for your guidance, Hall Master." All the children bowed. City Lord Taishu, tell the children who practice the spear to pay attention to the cultivation of their bodies. Without a good body, they won't be able to cultivate domineering spear arts. Night Sorrow said to Taishu Yen. Taishu Yen nodded. As a half-step saint, how could she not understand the logic of Night Sorrow's words? Also, Senior Lei Hua, make some arrangements. The children need warmth. The people of Eastern Profound Region's Eastern Profound City must take care of these children. When they are not cultivating, they can be brought home to feel love and care. Let them have a happy childhood. Night Sorrow said to Lei Hua, who had been standing at the side without speaking. This subordinate will definitely do it well. Lei Hua nodded. Afterward, Night Sorrow stood in front of the group of children and taught them how to cultivate the spear. He talked about the basic spear techniques and the essence. Night Sorrow only left the sacred hall in the evening. Did everyone see that? This is the commander of our two realms, a 3-star saint. He truly cares for everyone. Everyone should be grateful. Although there was a war between the two realms, it wasn't anyone's fault. Your generation may have suffered, but the future generations of the two realms will be happy. Taishu Yen said. Vice Hall Master, the teachers have analyzed the war with us. We all understand that we only have respect for the Hall Master. July said. After Night Sorrow returned to the spatial passage, he took out a pen and paper and wrote down his experiences on the cultivation of the spear. He found that there were no books on the basics of the spear. Night Sorrow wrote down in detail. It was all about his understanding of the cultivation process. Jun Xuanji went to Night Sorrow's tent. Originally, he wanted to ask if the Holy Hall would accept children who had families. But when he saw that Night Sorrow was concentrating on writing, he decided to wait at the side. Only when the sky turned dark did Night Sorrow finish writing. He saw Jun Xuanji standing to the side. Jun Xuanji had also become a saint, but not for long. Why didn't you shout when you were here? I didn't even notice, Night Sorrow said. Your vigilance is too poor. Jun Xuanji was a little puzzled. She had been here for nearly 2 hours, but Night Sorrow, a 3-star saint, had not noticed her. Do I need to be vigilant? There are so many people here. Who can directly threaten my safety? Night Sorrow said with a smile. In truth, Jun Xuanji and Night Sorrow were just joking. If they had any hostility toward Night Sorrow would have sensed it long ago. You're writing about the spear. What are you doing? Jun Xuanji asked as he looked at Night Sorrow's writing. Many children in the Holy Hall cultivate spear arts. I didn't find any introductions to the basics of spear arts, so I wrote down my own cultivation experience, hoping that it would help those children. Night Sorrow handed the book he had written to Jun Xuanji. This is very precious. There are almost no spear masters. If you say you're second in understanding the spear, no one would dare say they're first. At this moment, she was completely certain that Yi Shang treated the children of the two worlds the same. He didn't look at them differently. It's just some random writing, Night Sorrow said. By the way, there's something else I need to do. The children that the Holy Hall is accepting are all children who lost their families in the war. Some of the children who have families want to join the Holy Hall. What do you think? Jun Xuanji asked. If we don't accept them, we're not establishing a sect or forming a faction. I just want those children who were hurt to live better lives. Others shouldn't join in the fun, Night Sorrow said. But isn't that not too good? Jun Xuanji said after thinking about it. If you don't accept them, just say it's my idea. Go talk to the other 2 grand elders and see what they think, Night Sorrow said to Jun Xuanji. After Jun Xuanji left, Night Sorrow went to the God-slaying squad's camp. The members of the God-slaying squad were all very enthusiastic about cultivation. After all, Night Sorrow had already become a 3-star saint. How could they not be anxious? Night Sorrow was very happy to drink with everyone under the night sky. He felt that drinking with his brothers was the most realistic feeling. They drank until dawn. Only then did Night Sorrow return to the camp at the entrance of the spatial channel. Following this, he went to patrol the large array. Just as Night Sorrow returned to his tent and was about to enter the spacetime pagoda to cultivate, Long Xianxing, Xian Wenxiu, Tai Shu Yan, Jun Xuanji, and Lu Qin arrived. They were the people in charge of the Holy Hall. Commander, we're here to talk about whether or not the Holy Hall is still accepting people. We feel that it's good to accept some people. In the future, we can set up a patrol team to maintain the peace between the two realms, Long Xianxing said. Resources are limited. If the number of people increases, we'll take away some cultivation resources from those children, which goes against my original intentions. Those children can go to various factions and have many paths. The reason why I set up the Holy Hall is not for anything else but to compensate those children who have been hurt so that they can have a better life. If those children with family members join the Holy Hall, there will be competition and a sense of superiority. It's not good for those children. Night Sorrow stated the reason why he was against it. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone fell into deep thought. That makes sense. We didn't think about it thoroughly enough, Xian Wenxiu said. At this moment, he understood how important Night Sorrow was to the children without family members in the Holy Hall. He wanted to eliminate even the slightest disadvantage. Let's do this for the time being. After a few years, when these children are more mature and won't be disturbed by the outside world, we'll consider accepting a group of members, Night Sorrow said. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Long Xianxing, Xian Wenxiu, Tai Shu Yan, and the others cupped their hands and left Night Sorrow's tent. Night Sorrow also entered the spacetime pagoda and began to cultivate. This is Night Sorrow. He has a soft side in his heart. He doesn't want the children of the Holy Hall to be hurt even a little bit. Let's do as he says. Also, tell the teachers in the Holy Hall to be more compassionate. If anyone does something wrong, Night Sorrow will be angry and bear the consequences, Long Xianxing said to the others after returning to the command tent. In addition, Night Sorrow's words today must let the children know that they need to grow up with compassion in their hearts. This is good for their body and mind, Xian Wenxiu added. Xuanji will do it well. As a woman, I'm not as thorough as him in this aspect. I'm really ashamed, Jun Xuanji said with a sigh. Download Myriad Dao Ascension for free. Chapter 895. At this time, everyone had a better understanding of Night Sorrow and Night Sorrow's inner world. This is the heart of a benevolent person. It's a blessing for both realms to have such a commander. Xian Wenxiu was a little emotional. He even felt that this war wasn't a bad thing for the profound mysteries realm. Even though they were currently under attack, it would be extremely beneficial for their future development. This was because they had a commander like Yishang. As for how long this situation could last, Xian Wenxiu wasn't worried. Venerables had 800 years of lifespan, while saints had 3,000. Night Sorrow was now in his 20s. Even if Night Sorrow didn't improve, he would still have 3,000 years of lifespan. He could maintain the stability of the two realms for 3,000 years. At that time, the two realms would become one. Furthermore, Night Sorrow was only in his 20s. No one knew what his future achievements would be like. At this time, Wu Lingfei also came to the tent. With so many people gathered, she thought something had happened. His plagiarized version X, Senior Sister Wu, you've come at the right time. There's something we need your help with. Tai Shu Yan had said that Night Sorrow had asked the people of Dongxian City to bring the children of the Sacred Hall back to their homes to feel the warmth. For this matter, you can look for Lei Hua and the others. I'm not from the Sacred Hall, said Wu Lingfei. No, if Senior Sister Wu doesn't personally arrange it, I'll talk to the commander later and have him find something for Senior Sister Wu to do. The Sacred Hall has already been arranged in the eastern Xian region. If we look for Senior Sister Wu to do something, and Senior Sister is like this, do you agree? Tai Shu Yan glanced at Long Xiansheng and Xian Wenxiu. Alright, I'll go arrange it. I'm really afraid of you, said Wu Lingfei. She really didn't want Tai Shu Yan to ask Night Sorrow to arrange something for her. She didn't like it, and she wasn't used to it. Night Sorrow was cultivating on the 73rd floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. He didn't lack resources. What he needed was time. As time passed, Night Sorrow's cultivation base steadily increased. After spending half a year in seclusion, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion and patrolled the array formation once more. At this time, the ancient netherworld tree was growing at a crazy rate, and it had already surrounded the array formation so tightly that not even a drop of water could pass through. In addition, only 2 teleportation arrays that Night Sorrow had set up remained. The rest had been destroyed. After exiting the formation, Night Sorrow went to the command tent. Commander, you disappeared for half a year. Why didn't you go to the Saint Hall? Those children all want to see you. Tai Shu Yan looked at Night Sorrow and said. She was very shocked because she found that Night Sorrow's cultivation was close to the late stage of the 3-star Saint Realm. What shocked her the most was that she felt a great pressure from Night Sorrow's body. It was an extremely domineering yang power. Alright, let's make a trip there, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow also planned to take a look at the Saint Hall. He also had other things to do. After rapidly increasing his cultivation base by a few levels, Night Sorrow's true chi attribute wasn't in a saturated state. His void attribute power couldn't keep up. He wanted to take a look at the void fiend space. If necessary, he would dig up the void crystal. When Night Sorrow arrived, the children of the Saint Hall were practicing spear techniques in the martial arts field. Almost all of them were practicing spear techniques. Seeing July, whose cultivation base was already at the peak stage of element gathering realm, trying hard to wave her spear, Night Sorrow walked over. Seeing Night Sorrow, July's eyes lit up. However, as Night Sorrow approached, she kept retreating. This situation made Night Sorrow stop and look at Jun Xuanji, who was walking over. Why are they afraid of me? At this time, July wasn't the only one retreating. The other children were also retreating. It's not that they are afraid of you. It's just that the pressure on your body is too strong. Even I feel a little uncomfortable, let alone them, Jun Xuanji said. Jun Xuanji looked at Night Sorrow and asked. She didn't understand why Night Sorrow's aura was so strong that people couldn't look straight at him. Night Sorrow shook his head and used the power of law to suppress the flow of his blood and chi. He was now at the late stage of 3-star golden body realm. His body was indestructible, and the flow of his blood and chi had great power. So, no matter who faced him, they would feel pressure. Uncle didn't notice. It's fine now. Night Sorrow waved at the children of the Saint Hall. Greetings, Lord Commander. All the children bowed. Back then, Tai Shiyan and Jun Xuanji had told the children that Yi Shang had refused to let the other children join the Holy Hall so that they wouldn't be affected. This had caused the children to have different feelings towards Yi Shang. Don't be like this. You can call me uncle. I'm ranked 13th in the sect. You can call me 13th uncle. Night Sorrow waved at July and the children. You can really call me uncle. July's voice was trembling because she no longer had any relatives. Really? I'll be your uncle from now on. Night Sorrow walked over and held July's hand. 13th uncle, July called out softly. Holding July's hand, Night Sorrow looked at all the children and said, You don't have any relatives. I, Night Sorrow, am your relative. From today onwards, as long as you don't lose out, as long as you don't lose out, as long as you feel wronged or bullied, you can come to me. I will seek justice for you, regardless of the price. Thank you, 13th uncle. All the children nodded. Alright, there's no need to say thank you to your relatives. Night Sorrow waved his hand. Then, Night Sorrow led everyone to practice their spear techniques. Night Sorrow seemed to have returned to his youth, just like when he was cultivating in the Medicine Valley. Every spear strike was extremely serious. I'm also convinced. How is this something a commander would do? He's completely a protective parent, Tai Shu Yen said. Such a domineering parent. If this were to be thrown out, who would dare to provoke the children of the Sacred Hall? Jun Xuanji said with a smile. Night Sorrow cultivated with everyone until evening. After eating with the children, they continued chatting under the night sky. These children were very interested in Night Sorrow's matters. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything and told them about his past. They chatted until late at night. A teacher called the children to go rest. You're spoiling them too much, Jun Xuanji said as he looked at Night Sorrow. Children need to be spoiled. You should do the same. There's nothing wrong with that. Night Sorrow insisted. Alright, you win. Jun Xuanji said somewhat helplessly. She now understood Night Sorrow. She also knew that in the future, she could provoke any family's children except for those with the surname Night. This was because parents weren't easy to communicate with. To put it bluntly, when it came to children, Night Sorrow's attitude was even somewhat extreme. After resting until dawn, Night Sorrow said goodbye to the children of the Sacred Hall and left the Sacred Hall. He still had things to do, such as going to the Void Fiend space to take a look. Night Sorrow wanted to leave, and these children were somewhat reluctant to part with him. After losing their loved ones, these children were in pain. Now that there was a 13th uncle who truly cared for them, they once again had a figure that could support the sky in their hearts. Click on Myriad Tao Ascension to read it for free. Chapter 896. Waving goodbye to the child, Night Sorrow left the Sacred Hall. Cradle book cradle, he hurried to the Medicine Valley and arrived at the location of the Void Fiendish space. He tore open the spatial barrier and entered the Void Fiendish space. Night Sorrow could clearly feel the changes in the void space. He could even change the structure of the energy in the space with his thoughts. Standing on the ground of the void space, Night Sorrow could feel that the Void Fate Pearl was the void space and had already enveloped the void space. In other words, Night Sorrow had passed through the Void Fate Pearl and entered the void space. When the void space shrank to the same size as the Void Fate Pearl, Night Sorrow would completely refine the void space. Yishang flew to the lone peak that towered into the clouds. At this time, he could feel the dense void attribute energy. He had never felt it so clearly before. This was the effect of refining the void fiendish space. Sitting on the peak of the broken mountain, Night Sorrow began to meditate and cultivate. Since he could feel the void energy, there was no need for him to dig up the crystals. He could just meditate and absorb the void energy to cultivate. After sitting down cross-legged, Night Sorrow communicated with his soul power. Under the guidance of Night Sorrow's soul power, the void energy in the mountain below him pervaded and surrounded him. Night Sorrow did not need to absorb the void energy. He could directly refine it. He was now the master of the void space, so it was not difficult for him to do this. While absorbing the void energy to cultivate, he also took the blood crystal of the four-clawed silver dragon to cultivate the myriad Tao tome. Once Night Sorrow started cultivating, he lost track of time. He meditated for half a year, and only stood up when he had raised the void attribute to its fullest state. At this time, his cultivation had already reached the peak of the 3-star Saint Realm, and his physical cultivation had also reached the peak of the 3-star Golden Body Realm. Night Sorrow stood up, tidied his robe, and flew toward the lava lake. He wanted to see the situation of the lava lake. After arriving at the lava lake, Night Sorrow discovered that the lava lake had shrunk slightly. Without the presence of a fire attribute origin stone, the lava lake had stopped growing. Night Sorrow, I can hold some. You can bring them back to the spatial tunnel and test their effects. Shao Kong's voice rang out in Night Sorrow's divine sea. It won't harm you, Night Sorrow said. He was interested in Little Kong's thoughts, but he didn't want to harm the spacetime pagoda. It's just consuming some energy. It's not a big problem. Just try it out with a bit less energy. If it's okay, you can just wait for the void domain to be refined. There's no need to think of other methods, Shao Kong said. Following that, Night Sorrow opened the spacetime pagoda and absorbed the lava into it, filling up the first level of the spacetime pagoda. After that, Night Sorrow quickly left. He had to get to the spatial tunnel as soon as possible. Because the spacetime pagoda contained the lava, it consumed a lot of energy. After exiting the void domain, Night Sorrow went to Taichuan and teleported to the entrance of the Nether Realm. Night Sorrow used the law of nothingness to protect himself as he rushed through the array. He used 2 slashes that already contained the law of space. Then, he transferred the flames of the spacetime pagoda to the ancient netherworld trees. After transferring the flames, Night Sorrow retreated to the array to observe the situation. He heard creaking sounds. The roots of the ancient netherworld trees were being burned. Some of the ancient netherworld trees even moved to avoid the burning flames. The lava flames were very violent. Even with the energy of death surrounding them, the ancient netherworld trees couldn't withstand it. Good. Night Sorrow growled. If the lava flames were effective, then after the void domain was completely integrated, this place could be resolved. In the tent of the Nether Realm, the 8 Hell Kings held their heads and growled. What's wrong? 9 in Hades came to the tent of the 8 Hell Kings. Damn it, I don't know where they got a bunch of flames. The ancient tree that's being damaged is the one this king merged with. The 8 Hell Kings' face was a little pale. Is the problem serious? 9 in Hades asked. It's not serious. There aren't many flames. The ancient netherworld tree just needs to move away and use the energy of the nether to exhaust the flames. The problem is whether they can still get such flames. If there are a lot of them, it'll be troublesome. The 8 Hell Kings calmed down and said. It shouldn't be. But be careful, 8 Hell Kings. Don't let your true body get hurt. 9 in Hades reminded the 8 Hell Kings. This king has already retreated a little. The 8 Hell Kings said. The 8 Hell King's true body had extended his lifespan by merging with the ancient netherworld tree, so his clone's lifespan wasn't affected. The one talking to 9 in Hades now was his clone. Night Sorrow saw that it was effective and was very happy. He felt that he could go back and forth a few times. Even if he couldn't break the ancient netherworld tree, the Nether Realm would still be afraid. Yu Qing and Wu Lingfei walked over when they saw Night Sorrow coming out of the array with a smile. They were originally chatting, but seeing that Night Sorrow was in a good mood, they came over to ask. I went to deal with the ancient netherworld tree. The effect is pretty good. Night Sorrow explained the situation. That's not bad. Even if it can't break it directly, it'll still make them feel uncomfortable. Wu Lingfei said. Mother, Aunt Fei, you guys continue chatting. I'll go back and forth a few more times. In the future, the ancient netherworld tree won't dare to come close to the array. It'll still have a big impact on them. Night Sorrow went through the spatial tunnel and went to the void fiendish space to get more flames. Night Sorrow went back and forth to get the flames 3 times. The 8 Hell Kings could only control the ancient netherworld tree to retreat a distance because the flames were very harmful to the tree. After going back and forth 3 times, Night Sorrow stopped. In order to not get hurt, Little Sky needed too much energy from spiritual stones. It cost 5 top-grade spiritual stones each time. At present, he couldn't change the situation of the war, so Night Sorrow didn't waste his time. Night Sorrow didn't continue to move the flames, but the ancient netherworld tree, which had already retreated a distance, didn't dare to come close to the array. At the same time, the flames destroyed the effect of the ancient netherworld tree's growth seal, and some of its roots were burned away. The 9 in King was very angry, but she couldn't do anything. The combination of the Great Cycle Array and the 1000 Development Illusionary Array was an extreme defense that she couldn't break. 9 in King, how about this? Get some netherworld twin-tailed bees and throw them into the array. This way, Even if the netherworld twin-tailed bees are trapped, their attack power will still be there. If it's not an extreme attack, it won't hurt the small netherworld twin-tailed bees, the 8 Hell Kings said. That works, but that's a double-edged sword. We can't control the netherworld twin-tailed bees. Throw them into the array and make it a forbidden zone for both sides. This method works. The 9 Eem King nodded and then called the 7 Fiends King to deal with this matter. The netherworld twin-tailed bees were small, but they were poisonous. They weren't afraid of sword rays or earth energy attacks. If they wanted to capture them, they had to seal the nest and capture the nest together. After releasing the flames a few times, Night Sorrow went to cultivate. He wanted to raise his cultivation to the 4-star saint realm. That way, his combat power would increase by a lot. There was a big difference between a mid-level saint and a beginner saint. Click Becoming God by 10,000 Dao to read it for free. Chapter 897. When Night Sorrow was cultivating, no one could enter the array. Without anyone knowing, the 8 Hell Kings threw the nests of netherworld double-tailed bees that the 7 Evils King had brought back into the array. With the protection of the illusory array, the netherworld double-tailed bees could not penetrate the array. However, they survived and circled around the array. Since Night Sorrow did not enter the array, no one knew what was going on inside the array. Similarly, the 9 Eem Dark King and the others did not know what was going on inside the array. Night Sorrow took 7 days to break through his cultivation level. Then, he continued to stabilize his cultivation level. Every time Night Sorrow cultivated, he would take a long time. This was something everyone knew. However, no one asked about it. After all, everything was going smoothly. Other than being stationed at the spatial passageway, Tai Shu Yen, Lu Qin, and the others were busy with the matters of the Sacred Hall. They would often call the God-slaying squad to the Sacred Hall to teach the children. The members of the God-slaying squad did not practice the spear. However, they had seen Night Sorrow practice the spear, so they could give him some pointers. In addition, the members of the God-slaying squad were all practical and had rich combat experience. This was something that the children of the Sacred Hall needed to learn. After cultivating for 3 months, which was equivalent to 1 month in the real world, Night Sorrow came out of seclusion. At the same time, he transferred everyone out of the Spacetime Pagoda. The Spacetime Pagoda was a sacred treasure that assisted in cultivation. It could provide all kinds of energy, but it could not help improve the state of mind. Therefore, it was necessary to come out and relax. Night Sorrow nodded to his 3 fiancées and entered the array to patrol. As soon as he patrolled, he discovered a problem. His soul power immediately discovered the existence of the netherworld double-tailed bees. The netherworld double-tailed bees were flying in the Great Cycle Array and the 1000 Derivation Killing Array. However, they were only flying in a few regions. The 9 Eem Dark King and the 8 Hell Kings felt that the netherworld double-tailed bees would spread throughout the array. However, due to the illusory array, the netherworld double-tailed bees were trapped in the same place and did not spread throughout the array. After discovering this situation, Night Sorrow naturally knew what was going on. He knew that it was a trick from the nether realm. Using the spatial precepts, Night Sorrow controlled a netherworld twin-tailed bee and put it into a bottle. After returning to the command tent, Night Sorrow called for Hua Haining and the other alchemists. When Hua Haining and the alchemist arrived, Night Sorrow took out the bottle and showed it to everyone. Who knows what species this twin-tailed bee is? Night Sorrow's Fey Book of Treasures didn't have such a record, so he had asked everyone. In fact, if even Night Sorrow didn't recognize it, the others naturally didn't. Elder Hua, take it and study it. Give me the results as soon as possible. The main thing is to see if it has any value. Then, I will figure out how to solve this problem, Night Sorrow said. Hua Haining nodded and left with the alchemists. At this time, Yi Wuyo, Wu Lingfei, and Yun Tianlong all entered the command tent. What happened? Yi Wuyo asked. It's nothing. Everyone, take a seat. Night Sorrow brewed tea as he explained his discovery. Son, something from the nether realm definitely isn't anything good. You have to be careful, Yu Qing said worriedly. If it's just the heavenly cycle array, it really won't be able to restrain this thing. They're small and can't withstand force. Ordinary energy attacks are ineffective. Fortunately, the 1000 derivation illusionary formation is effective. It can restrict them to a certain range. I caught one for Elder Hua to study. If it's useful, we can slowly catch it. If it's useless, I'll control the illusionary formation and drive the twin-tailed bee out of the formation. I feel like this twin-tailed bee is dangerous to them, Night Sorrow analyzed. Hearing Night Sorrow's words, everyone relaxed. It's good that everything is under your control. There's also something I didn't tell you. When the god-slaying squad isn't cultivating, I'll have them guide the Holy Hall's children, said Wu Lingfei. That's a good thing. The god-slaying squad's members aren't bad. They're all young, so they can get along well with the children. It'll be beneficial to their growth, said Night Sorrow. It's good that you're out of seclusion. I have something I need you to do. Jun Xuanji entered the tent. What is it? Night Sorrow poured a cup of water for Jun Xuanji. Jun Xuanji's current performance wasn't bad. It should be said that he was very responsible. The children of the Holy Hall need pills for their cultivation. Vice Hall Head Grand Elder said that you're an alchemy grandmaster, so Chief Steward Lu Qin prepared some ingredients for you to refine. Jun Xuanji told Yi Shang his purpose. Sure, that's not a problem. As long as the materials are prepared, it'll be fine. I don't have much free time, so I'll refine as many as you can, said Night Sorrow. This storage ring is full. Do as you see fit. Jun Xuanji tossed a storage ring to Night Sorrow. All right, Lord Father. When Elder Hua has news, come to the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow said to Yi Wuyo after putting away the storage ring. Hey, don't go. The Holy Hall needs medicinal pills urgently. Jun Xuanji grew anxious when he saw that Night Sorrow was about to leave. Can't you be more stable? I'll give you the medicinal pills in 3 days. After saying that, Night Sorrow returned to his tent and entered the Spacetime Pagoda to refine. Young concubine Qing, look at Night Sorrow's attitude, said Jun Xuanji unhappily. I'll bring you the medicinal pills later. You should also rest for 2 days, said Yu Qing with a smile. Jun Xuanji told Yu Qing that Night Sorrow's attitude was a problem, but it was useless. Let alone her, no one would be able to get Yu Qing to reprimand Night Sorrow. In Yu Qing's eyes, her son was always right and perfect. On the 73rd floor of the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow opened the storage ring that Jun Xuanji had brought and helplessly shook his head. He had really worked hard. The storage ring was full of materials from Tier 1 to Tier 4. Yi Shang would not be able to refine level 5 medicinal pills to the best quality. This was something that Tai Shu Yen knew. Therefore, she did not need to trouble Yi Shang to refine level 5 medicinal pills. She could just let Yi Shang refine level 1 to level 4 medicinal pills. After refining for 7 days, Night Sorrow finally finished refining the pills. Of course, only 2 days had passed in the outside world. After exiting the Spacetime Pagoda, Night Sorrow went to the command tent and threw the storage ring to Jun Xuanji. You guys are really ruthless. You took out a storage ring full of materials. But now that it's all medicinal pills, it should be enough. Not bad. You still have a lot of use as a hall master. I'm leaving. Jun Xuanji took the storage ring and left. She was especially concerned about the Saint Hall's matters. Too rude, said Shang Luo, who was guarding here. Saint Shang, you don't need to mind. It's nothing. This also shows that she has really let go of everything in her heart, said Night Sorrow with a smile. While everyone was talking, Hua Haining entered the tent. Young master, we have a result after 2 days of research. The twin-tailed wasp is extremely poisonous. If we were to talk about its value, it would be in refining poison, said Hua Haining. Many thanks, brothers and sisters, for your hard work in digging up a chapter of Myriad Tao Becomes a God. Chapter 898. Then catch some and turn them into poison. Send the rest back to them. A basket of books. Night Sorrow said after some thought. Then, Night Sorrow took the pill bottle Hua-Haining had given him and entered the formation to catch the netherworld two-tailed bees. Normal people wouldn't be able to catch them. The netherworld two-tailed bees were fast, small, and poisonous. They were very dangerous. However, Night Sorrow had the laws of space. He suppressed them with his power of space and threw them into the bottle. After 3 days, Night Sorrow caught more than 300 bees. When he felt that it was enough, he controlled the formation and led the netherworld two-tailed bees to the nether realm. To others, the formation was a forbidden area, but to Night Sorrow, it was his territory. With a casual change and guidance, he led the netherworld two-tailed bees to the nether realm. The magma flames had been extinguished by the netherworld tree's netherworld energy. However, the ancient netherworld tree had consumed a lot of energy. In addition, the ancient netherworld tree's netherworld energy was useless against the netherworld two-tailed bees. They were of the same element and were equally poisonous. After passing through the ancient netherworld tree's poisonous gas, the netherworld two-tailed bees began attacking the nether realm's troops. Fire speed, protect yourselves with alchemic fire. Only fire can drive the netherworld two-tailed bees away. 8 Hell King shouted and covered himself with alchemic fire. The 8th Hell King's notification came very quickly, but the netherworld twin-tailed bees still caused quite a bit of damage to the netherworld warriors. Some of the netherworld warriors who couldn't react in time were attacked by the netherworld twin-tailed bees. The result of being poisoned was death. Only after hearing 8 Hell King's words did the nether realm's troops use alchemic fire to protect themselves. The netherworld two-tailed bees passed through and flew away. 7 Fiends King did a head count. Hundreds of people had died, including a few bloodbath death guards. This made 9 Shade King very angry. We have to break the formation. That's their territory, 8 Hell King said. The 9 Dark Monarch nodded. She knew that this was the truth. As long as the formation was not broken, there was no possibility of suppressing the 9-domain world. After releasing the netherworld twin-tailed hornets, Night Sorrow used the netherworld ancient tree to check the situation. He found that the damage to the netherworld realm camp was still quite significant. He was very satisfied. He felt that the 9-domain world could do the same. He could get some poisonous creatures and send them to the netherworld realm camp. After another round of observation, Night Sorrow returned to the command tent. "How is it?" asked Wu Lingfei. "Not bad. We've caused a few hundred casualties. Also, I'm wondering if we should send some poisonous creatures over," Night Sorrow said. "Then I'll arrange for people to go to our world to look for the poison," Hua-Haining said. Night Sorrow thought for a moment and said, "All right, I'll research some more poisons. When I have time, I'll go to their world and mess around." "Isn't that a little dangerous?" Yu Qing was a little worried. "Mom, don't worry. I'm now a 4-star saint, and I've completely comprehended the laws of space. Tearing through space won't be a problem," Night Sorrow said with a smile. Yu Qing nodded. She knew that Night Sorrow was very strong, but she was still a little worried. After letting Hua-Haining research the poisons, Night Sorrow went to the Holy Hall to accompany the children for a few days. He also went to see Ning Qingfeng's family, as they hadn't seen each other in a long time. Night Sorrow's arrival made Ning Qingfeng and Han Lin very happy. Ning Yun, who was already 12, was very close to Night Sorrow. "Uncle, can you accept me as your disciple?" Ning Yun looked at Night Sorrow eagerly. I'm still young. I can't accept disciples, but I can teach you whatever you want to learn," said Night Sorrow. "Then in a few years, you can accept me as your disciple." Ning Yun's eyes were full of light. "We'll talk about it when the time comes. You're so young, but you're already in the middle stage of the essence gathering realm. It shows that you're very hard-working," said Night Sorrow. "It's like this. Every once in a while, we'll go to the Holy Hall to bring a few children back and let them feel the warmth of a family. So, Yun wants to cultivate with them, but the Holy Hall doesn't accept children who have families, Han Lin said. Let me think about it. Ning Yun has known me since he was very young. I'll guide him in his cultivation in the future. He can go to the Holy Hall, but don't use the resources of the Holy Hall. I'll take care of the resources, Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. After having dinner with Ning Qingfeng and Han Lin, Night Sorrow took Ning Yun to the Holy Hall. Seeing Night Sorrow bring a child over, Tai Shu Yan and Jun Xuanji, who were guiding the child, were very surprised. Ning Yun, Chiwa, who was cultivating, shouted. Ning Yun also waved his hand. Chiwa was one of the children that Ning Qingfeng and Han Lin often brought home. Grand Uncle, Martial Uncle, Elder Jun, this child has known me for a long time. He has always wanted to cultivate with me. It's not convenient for me to bring him with me, so I put him in the Holy Hall to cultivate with everyone. As for the resources he needs, I'll pay for it. Night Sorrow took out 30 upper-level spirit stones and gave them to Jun Xuanji. The Holy Hall doesn't lack the cultivation resources of a child. Besides, the resources used in the early stage of the Holy Hall were all provided by you. Jun Xuanji shook his head. Night Sorrow thought for a while and didn't insist. Ning Yun, be yourself. Don't have any sense of superiority. Get along well with your friends. You can take them home to play when you're not cultivating, Night Sorrow said to Ning Yun. Uncle, don't worry. Ning Yun will remember Uncle's teachings. Ning Yun bowed to Night Sorrow. Well, Uncle can rest assured. Night Sorrow patted Ning Yun's shoulder. Uncle, when you want to take a disciple, you must think of me, Ning Yun said. Okay. If Uncle wants to take a disciple, you will be the first. Night Sorrow finished speaking and nodded to Jun Xuanji and Tai Shu Yan before leaving the Holy Hall. I saw you last time. You and your mother sent our Holy Hall's child back. Jun Xuanji looked at Ning Yun and said. Ning Yun also remembers Auntie. Ning Yun nodded to Jun Xuanji. This little guy is not bad. In the future, he will cultivate with everyone. Jun Xuanji waved his hand and called the teacher to arrange things for Ning Yun. Ning Yun bowed to Jun Xuanji and Tai Shu Yan before leaving the square with the teacher. Amazing. He is the first disciple of the commander. This may be because the commander has concerns. Otherwise, he would be the commander's first disciple, Tai Shu Yan said. In Qingxin Cottage, Ning Qingfeng and Han Lin sat facing each other. The commander is our family's great benefactor. If he hadn't bought me and my son back then and saved you, our family would have been torn apart. Now, what is his status as the commander of 2 realms? Saint, if Yun works hard, there will be no problems in his future. Ning Qingfeng happily drank a big mouthful of wine. Yes, Yun still needs to work hard. When he comes back, we have to talk to him properly and not embarrass him, Han Lin said. Download Myriad Dao Becomes a God for free. Chapter 899. After arranging Ning Yun's matters, Night Sorrow left the sacred hall and returned to the spatial passage. He drank and chatted with the members of the god-slaying team. Night Sorrow also told everyone about Ning Yun. He really liked Ning Yun. When he was at the Pure Heart Villa, that child had brought a lot of joy to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow had considered whether he should let Ning Yun cultivate the Myriad Tao Tome, but after thinking about it, he gave up. No one knew better than Night Sorrow how painful it was to cultivate the Myriad Tao Tome. He hoped that Ning Yun could achieve something, but he also hoped that Ning Yun could have a happy childhood. In Night Sorrow's heart, he didn't care about the achievements of the people around him. As long as they could be happy and healthy, he would work hard to create a peaceful and stable world. After drinking with the members of the god-slaying team, Night Sorrow returned to his tent and chatted with the girls. He was not in a hurry to cultivate in the space-time treasure pagoda. He needed to calm down. After resting for a night, Night Sorrow was stunned when he was eating breakfast in the morning. He had received some news. The news was obtained by Night Sorrow's clone from the 9 regions origin energy shield. There was a change in a space suppressed by Clear Sky City, and Night Sorrow's clone could not leave the 9 regions' origin energy shield to investigate. Night Sorrow called the higher-ups of the 2 worlds who were in the spatial passage to the command tent. "Commander, what's the matter?" Yin Tianlong asked. "I have to leave for a while." "I'll have to trouble everyone here," Night Sorrow said. "We know that you're going to cultivate." "Don't worry," Shui Wuling said. "I'm not going to cultivate. There's a problem in Clear Sky City. I have to deal with it, but it's hard to say what the specific situation is." Night Sorrow thought for a moment and didn't hide it from everyone. "Then you have to be careful. Your safety is a matter of concern," Bei Tiangu said. Tai Shu Yen was now in charge of some matters in the Sacred Hall, while the Deputy City Lord Bei Tiangu was in charge of the North Sea region's troops. "I'll be careful. Normal problems can't stop me now," Night Sorrow said. Yo More Q. Everyone nodded. Night Sorrow was telling the truth. Other than a few veteran pinnacle saints, Night Sorrow is one of them. The 9 regions' origin energy communicated with Night Sorrow. "I'm not afraid of death. I'm only telling you this because the void fiendish space is not far from being completely refined. I can't let anything happen to me. However, since my enemy is here, I'll go in and kill him," Night Sorrow said. Of the 2 people inside, one is Golden Growler. He was suppressed by Clear Sky City back then, and his soul escaped into a small space. His strength won't recover so quickly. The other person's body is still there, but he was attacked by Clear Sky Saint King and his soul was almost destroyed. It won't be easy for him to recover. They can't come out, so there aren't enough resources, even after 10,000 years. The 9 regions' origin energy explained the situation to Night Sorrow in detail. "Okay, how can I go in?" Night Sorrow asked the 9 regions' origin energy. "Their space is unstable now. I'm suppressing it with all my strength. Because your clone and the Heaven Sealing Hall are one, the 9 regions' origin energy won't reject you when you enter, but others can't," the 9 regions' origin energy said to Night Sorrow. In other words, Night Sorrow couldn't bring anyone in. The space-time pagoda can't bring anyone in either? Night Sorrow asked. No, the 9 regions' origin energy can penetrate spatial treasures and attack regardless of friend or foe. Go in and take a look. If it doesn't work, come back. Then we'll think of another way. I'm worried that once they recover, they'll refine that small space. If they do, it'll be troublesome. The 9 regions' origin energy explained why they couldn't give Night Sorrow time to refine the void fiendish space. At this time, in a small space beneath Clear Sky City, the golden-robed Jin Yu and the black-robed Bo Qing were talking. Jin Yu, it'll be difficult for us to break free from the 9 regions' origin energy suppression. You should try your best to adapt to your new body. I'll refine this small space. At that time, we'll be able to break free from the suppression and slaughter the 9 regions' origin energy before returning, said the black-robed Bo Qing. Okay, relying on others to save us is too passive. If we keep delaying like this, our lifespan will be a problem. Jin Yu nodded. Then it's decided. We have to hurry. As we recover, the 9 regions' origin energy will become stronger, said Bo Qing. Under the guidance of the 9 regions' origin energy, Night Sorrow arrived at the bottom of Clear Sky Mountain. At the bottom of Clear Sky Mountain, Night Sorrow sensed a space. It's stable now because they haven't attacked yet. Go in and take a look. Safety first. You can't have any problems, said the 9 regions' origin energy as it stood within the 9 regions' origin energy's protective barrier. Night Sorrow nodded. He had to go in and take a look before making a decision. Who knew what the 2 experts from 10,000 years ago were at now? He wanted to read Myriad Tao Becomes a God for free. Chapter 900. Night Sorrow used the law of nothingness to protect himself. Then, he used Spatial Ren to tear apart the barrier between the 9-domain world and that space and entered the space suppressed by Supreme Sky City. After entering this space, Night Sorrow instantly entered the space-time pagoda. Then, he released his soul power to explore the surroundings. At this moment, Night Sorrow was no longer a hothead. He knew that if this space had been refined, the other party would know as soon as he entered. It was most important to stabilize himself first. If the situation turned bad, he would have to run. His safety was related to the refinement of the void fiendish space and the restoration of the 9-domain world. He had to be careful. After staying in the space-time pagoda for an hour without any movement, Night Sorrow understood that this space had not been refined. If it had been refined, the other party would have already rushed over. After thinking about it, Night Sorrow decided to enter the space turbulence to investigate. This way, the other party would not find him easily. Safety was the most important thing right now. After tearing apart the space, Night Sorrow traveled through the space turbulence. His soul power went through the space barrier to explore. Now that Night Sorrow had the law of nothingness to protect himself and the law of space to cut forward, his speed was still very fast. After advancing for an hour, Night Sorrow felt exhausted. He circled around to find a safe area. Then, he came out and entered the space-time pagoda to cultivate and recover. After recovering, Night Sorrow came out of the space and continued to explore. After exploring 3 times, Night Sorrow found a space barrier. This let him know that this space was not big. Its diameter was about 2,000 to 3,000 miles. At the foot of the mountain in the middle of this space, Jinyu, who was meditating, felt a little flustered. If it was any other time, he might have gone to talk to Bo Qing. However, Bo Qing was studying the Space Origin Stone. He planned to refine the Space Origin Stone and then refine the space. He could not be disturbed. Bo Qing, who was meditating on the mountain, also opened his eyes. He was also a little flustered. He did not understand why he felt this way. After taking 2 deep breaths, Bo Qing looked at the Origin Stone. His eyes were full of anger. If he was at his peak, it would be easy for him to refine a space origin. However, when he was suppressed by Haotian City, in order not to abandon his physical body, his soul was severely injured. Now, only a part of it had recovered. As for Jinyu, his soul power was very strong, but his body was destroyed. He was now researching a new body. His new body was the body of the master of the space, but the compatibility was very low. It would take a long time to completely fuse with it, so the task of refining it fell to Bo Qing. Night Sorrow searched region by region in the chaotic space. On the 3rd day, Night Sorrow reached the central region and found Jinyu and Bo Qing. When his soul strength detected the Wind Origin Stone in Bo Qing's hand, he understood that the 9 regions' origin body was right. The 2 of them were refining the Space Origin Stone. At the same time, Night Sorrow saw their cultivation bases. Jinyu, who was sitting at the foot of the mountain, was a 7-star saint. However, his aura was very unstable. Night Sorrow knew that Jinyu's condition was not very good. As for Bo Qing, Night Sorrow could not see his cultivation base. However, his mental state was not good. His forehead was dark and did not have the spirit of an expert. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow knew that this was the state of a damaged soul. After retreating to a safe distance a few hundred miles away, Night Sorrow tore open space and entered the time-space treasure pagoda to recover. Night Sorrow wanted to maintain his peak condition. He knew that the 2 of them could not be measured by the cultivation bases of ordinary cultivators. Their cultivation bases were very high when they were at their peak. As for why their condition was so ordinary now, Night Sorrow knew that it was because of a lack of resources. Jinyu and Bo Qing were both important figures in the sky profound world. Their personal wealth was extremely high, but when they came to the 9-domain world, they came with a killing mission. What they brought were supplies and resources, but they did not bring any cultivation resources. This was the arrangement of the leaders of the heaven profound world. They were not willing to let the participants die in battle and leave the resources to others. This caused them to not be able to recover even after 10,000 years. The main reason was that the resources in this space were very scarce. They could only cultivate naturally. After recovering, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and thought about how to deal with the situation. A head-on battle was definitely not going to work because he knew that the two of them were definitely stronger than their cultivation bases. Furthermore, there was only one chance to launch a sneak attack. If they were alerted, then the following actions would not be smooth. After thinking for a while, Night Sorrow chose his target, which was to launch a sneak attack on Bo Qing. If it was a normal battle, he would naturally choose to attack the weaker Jin Yu first. However, he was not here to kill but to change the situation. Bo Qing was refining the space source and was a factor that could change the situation. If he broke the plan to refine the space, then the two of them could only be suppressed in this space. After choosing his target and thinking about the plan, Night Sorrow decided to make his move. Shao Kong! Night Sorrow shouted. Don't be so loud. It's not like I can't hear you. Shao Kong stood beside Night Sorrow. In a moment, I will tear open the space. Cooperate with me and use your strongest power to smash that guy. After that, I will attack with my full strength. The first thing I will do is to knock away the source stone in his hand. After that, you can keep the source stone. Night Sorrow said to Shao Kong. Okay. Shao Kong nodded at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow put Shao Kong into his sleeves and tore open the space to enter the spatial turbulence. He then headed towards where Bo Qing was meditating. Very quickly, Night Sorrow arrived at where Bo Qing was meditating through the spatial turbulence. Shao Kong, are you ready? Night Sorrow held the reincarnation spear in his right hand and asked Shao Kong. Yes, I am ready. Pay attention to your safety. If you can't handle it, enter the space-time pagoda. Although they are very strong, they won't be able to break through the defense of the space-time pagoda in a short period of time. This will give you time to retreat. Shao Kong reminded Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow nodded and took 2 deep breaths. Then, his bloodline talents suddenly erupted. A spatial crack with the power of laws tore open the space and slashed towards Bo Qing. At the same time, he waved his left sleeve and a space-time pagoda that was as tall as the clouds smashed towards Bo Qing. At the same time, the reincarnation spear in Night Sorrow's right hand also stabbed towards Bo Qing. Bo Qing, who was meditating, didn't have time to react before the spatial crack slashed towards his chest. Stop. Bo Qing waved his right hand and stopped the spatial crack. His realm was high, so his power of laws was naturally strong. He directly suppressed the spatial crack. However, at this moment, the space-time pagoda smashed down with the power of laws. Bo Qing let out a low roar. A long sword appeared in his right hand and he stabbed towards the space-time pagoda. The long sword was filled with the power of laws. At this moment, Night Sorrow used the power of laws of nothingness to execute the void extreme kill and stabbed towards Bo Qing's body. Bo Qing didn't have time to put away the origin stone. He held the origin stone with his left hand and pointed at Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear. He had the power of laws to protect his body, so he wasn't worried about Night Sorrow causing any harm to him. You can read the rest of the chapter. Chapter 901. Without any sound, Night Sorrow's void extreme kill directly destroyed half of Bo Qing's left hand. The origin stone was also sent flying. The origin stone contained elemental laws, so it was not so easy to destroy. In addition, Night Sorrow's void law had been partially offset by the law power in Bo Qing's left hand, so the origin stone was not damaged. At that moment, the space-time pagoda released a whirlpool of energy that sucked the origin stone into the space-time pagoda. Bo Qing waved the sword in his right hand to block the space-time pagoda's descent. He retreated a bit. At that moment, Night Sorrow used spatial crack to tear open space and leave. Night Sorrow wanted to tear open space to escape, but how could Bo Qing be willing to let him? He immediately used law suppression again, instantly closing the spatial crack. This made Night Sorrow realize that entering chaotic space was not omnipotent. His opponent's control of law power was too skillful. If he couldn't enter chaotic space, then he wouldn't. Night Sorrow rolled up his sleeves and put away the spacetime pagoda. He switched his energy shield to a spatial energy shield and began to flee. Now that he had achieved his goal, Night Sorrow did not want to fight anymore. This person was too strong. His Void Extreme Kill had only destroyed half of his hand. While Night Sorrow was running, Jin Yu also arrived at the scene of the battle. Jin Yu, chase after him. The spatial origin stone is in his hands. Bo Qing's eyes were red. At his peak, he was not even afraid of a Sage King. Now that he was being bullied by Night Sorrow, a 4-star sage, how could he not be angry? Damn it. Jin Yu's body flashed as he began to chase after Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's speed was too fast. Although his cultivation base was much lower than Jin Yu and Bo Qing's, his control of the law of space was the fastest among all the elemental laws. Their speed was about the same as Night Sorrow's, but they could not surpass him. Bo Qing and Jin Yu kept using their nomological suppression. However, Night Sorrow was not afraid. As long as the other party used their nomological suppression, he would use the law of nothingness to vibrate in all directions. This made Jin Yu and Bo Qing's nomological suppression ineffective. How dare you steal from me? I'll skin you alive and make you beg for death. Bo Qing's rage soared to the heavens. Don't talk nonsense. Catch up to me first. Night Sorrow immediately used Spatial Rend as he charged forward. After using it, he charged into the turbulent flow of space. Night Sorrow wanted to smooth out the spatial rift, but Jin Yu used an even stronger rule power to directly fix the spatial rift. He and Bo Qing also chased into the spatial turbulence. Wayek said. In the turbulent space, Night Sorrow's advantage was even greater. The space rule had a suppressive effect on the turbulent space. With the space protective chi shield, his speed was not affected at all. Gradually, he pulled some distance between Jin Yu and Bo Qing. Their realms were high, but the difference between their cultivations and their peak was too great. After pulling some distance, Night Sorrow used Spatial Rend again. After tearing through space, he returned to the wind-attributed space where Jin Yu and Bo Qing were. He then waved his left hand to smooth out the spatial rift and quickly advanced. After Night Sorrow left the spatial rift closed. Bo Qing waved his sword to attack. After 5 attacks, he broke through the spatial barrier. However, Night Sorrow had pulled even further away from them. Jin Yu and Bo Qing chased with all their might. Yi clan's remnants, this king will exterminate your entire clan. Jin Yu roared. When he saw Night Sorrow use Spatial Rend, he knew Night Sorrow's identity. They were all from the profound heaven world, so they naturally knew the Yi clan's innate skills. Stinky mouth, just you wait. I will slowly take care of you. Hearing Jin Yu's words, Night Sorrow had the urge to stop and fight. However, his rationality told him that it was more appropriate for him to leave now. Jin Yu and Bo Qing chased closely from behind. This spatial source was too important to them. At this time, Night Sorrow used Spatial Rend again. His body rushed into the spatial rift, and then he smoothed it out. Jin Yu and Bo Qing's faces turned blue. This was because Night Sorrow's move was very sharp. It was difficult for them to break through space, and it wasted a lot of time. This increased the distance between them and Night Sorrow. If they didn't tear through space, then Night Sorrow would have disappeared. And this was because Night Sorrow had just torn through space. Space was unstable, and if it was stable, it would be even harder for them to tear through it. After going back and forth a few times, Night Sorrow had completely pulled away from Jin Yu and Bo Qing. He had reached a safe zone. However, Night Sorrow's innate bloodline power had been greatly exhausted. He had no choice but to use his full strength. He still had to tear through space to return to the 9-domain world. Only then would he be safe. Flying at full speed, Night Sorrow arrived at the region where Clear Sky City was suppressed. You too, be careful. I'll be back. Night Sorrow shouted and used Spatial Rend. He cut through 2 spatial barriers and returned to the 9-domain world. When he passed through, Night Sorrow also smoothed out the spatial rift. Don't worry. They won't dare come out. If they do, the 9-domain origin barrier will exterminate them. 9-domain origin Chi appeared beside Night Sorrow. They have the ability to break through spatial barriers. Will they break through space and enter the 9-domain world from other regions? Night Sorrow voiced his concern. You don't have to worry about that. Actually, when you tear through space and travel through spatial turbulence, the spatial turbulence is the lowest level. It's the turbulence within a spatial world. Even the spatial turbulence between worlds is stable because it's close to the world in space. If you're far away from the world in space, the spatial turbulence can easily annihilate a holy king. Clear Sky City has sealed this space. This space cannot be moved. It's surrounded by deep spatial turbulence. They can't come out. As long as they don't refine the space, they'll be fine. 9-domain origin Chi communicated with Night Sorrow. Senior, you don't have to worry about that. When I went, they were refining the space origin stone. I snatched it and ran back. Night Sorrow took out the space origin stone and showed it to 9-domain origin Chi. It's stable. If they can't refine the space, they'll be trapped inside, unable to come out, said 9-domain origin Chi. My cultivation base is low right now. I really can't kill the 2 of them. Give me some time. Once my cultivation base increases, I'll go in and kill them, said Night Sorrow. There's no rush. You just need to steadily increase your cultivation base. Once the 9-domain world is complete, you can crush this small space as you wish, said 9-domain origin Chi. Don't crush it. I'll find someone to refine this origin stone. My fiancé is of the wind attribute, said Night Sorrow. At the same time, he hung the ice silk pouch he had put away before the battle. All right. Don't worry about it here. I'll help you with this soul clone of yours. 9-domain origin Chi waved his hand and sent a beam of light into the ice silk pouch. The ice silk pouch could isolate some energy, but 9-domain origin Chi was so domineering that it directly pierced through. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at 9-domain origin Chi. He understood that his soul clone had 9-domain origin Chi. It would be of great help to its future growth and development. Next, the 9 Realms Origin Energy body sent Yishang to Clear Sky City. Then, Yishang entered the Supreme River space. Night Sorrow then began the teleportation. He was quite excited. Not only had he resolved a crisis, but he had also brought Aoi a great opportunity. A wind attribute origin stone, and a spatial origin stone at that. It was a rare opportunity. You can read the rest of the chapter. Chapter 902. When they reached the spatial tunnel connecting the Nether Realm and the Supreme River space, Night Sorrow investigated and found Sikong Chuyu, Ong Lei, and Aoi drinking tea with their parents in Yuqing's tent. Everyone noticed Night Sorrow's return and was very happy to see Night Sorrow. How did it go? Yi Wuyo asked. It went well, very well. I even gained a lot. 6th senior sister, I have a treasure for you. Night Sorrow took out a wind-attributed origin stone and handed it to Aoi. An origin stone, it's an origin stone. Yuqing looked at it and said in surprise. Yes, it's a wind-attributed spatial origin stone. Someone was refining it, so I snatched it away, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You're destroying their opportunity. Is that okay? Aoi looked at Night Sorrow and said. She didn't want Night Sorrow to have a stain on his name because of her. I want to kill people for breaking their fates, but I can't kill them. Yishang told them the whole story. Other than his parents and his fiancée, there was no one else in the tent that needed to be told. They actually called you a surviving member of the Yi clan. It seems they have a deep grudge with our Yi clan, Yi Wuyo said with a cold face. They're from the Heaven Profound world and have something to do with our Yi clan's grudge in the Heaven Profound world. However, the two of them will definitely die, Night Sorrow said. Don't be anxious. No one can go there and help you. Wait until you're stronger before going, Yi Wuyo said. He didn't want his son to take the risk. Father, don't worry. I understand, sixth senior sister. On the way back, I used the law of nothingness to wipe out the auras of the other people on this origin stone. Nourish it with your soul power every day. You can comprehend the law and refine it, Night Sorrow said to Aoi. Night Sorrow, didn't you say that the source stone can be used 3 times? Can you see which senior has the wind attribute? You can lend it to them first before giving it to me. I'm just at the 8th level of the void inquiry stage. I haven't entered the venerated realm yet. Aoi said. She wanted to help the venerated realm experts of the Medicine Valley. Someone has refined this origin stone before. Someone else tried to refine it a while ago, but they didn't succeed. In fact, you're the 3rd owner, so you can only use it once, Night Sorrow said. Many people needed origin stones, but he had to take care of his fiancée first. Alright then. Aoi nodded at Night Sorrow. She was also very happy because having the origin stone in hand was equivalent to having a bright future. It's better to keep this a secret. Now, there are quite a lot of half-step saints and venerated realm experts. After all, everyone needs origin stones. Yi Wuyo said. So what if they need it? This is a treasure that my son obtained. If I don't give it to my daughter-in-law, am I supposed to give it to someone else? Yu Qing said. Yi Wuyo lowered his head and drank his tea without saying a word. No matter what Yu Qing said, he would always give in to her. It was not because he was afraid but because he did not want to make Yu Qing angry. By the way, when are you guys going to hold your wedding? I'm still waiting to hold my grandchild. Yu Qing looked at Night Sorrow, Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi. Let's wait first. When the matter here is over, I'll hold a lively wedding. Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and the other two and said. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi all nodded. However, the 3 of them also looked at each other because they did not know how to deal with Xueshi. Chuyu, your fire phoenix hasn't advanced, right? In a while, take it with you and follow me to the magma lake in the void fiend space to advance. Night Sorrow said. Although Sikong Chuyu's cultivation was at the venerable realm, it was also good to have a mount. Qing, we don't have anything to do. We're just going to pay a visit to Chuyu's parents. It's been so long and we haven't formally paid them a visit. This is not right, Yi Wuyo said. That's what we should do. In that case, let's make some preparations and go over. Yu Qing nodded. She often joked with Yi Wuyo about small matters, but when it came to important matters, she would never refute anything Yi Wuyo said. The relationship between husband and wife was a much-told story on Night Moon. After parting with his parents, Night Sorrow brought Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi. He called for Xueshi, who was cultivating in the tent, and set off for the void fiend space. During this period of time, everyone was very tired from cultivating. Night Sorrow also planned to bring everyone to relax. With the spacetime pagoda, it was very convenient for Night Sorrow to bring the few of them. As for Tianyu and Yimei, the 2 of them were still cultivating with the god-slaying team. When they arrived at the location of the void fiend space, Night Sorrow tore open space and entered. The void fiend space had been shrinking, but because of its connection with Night Sorrow, its position in the Medicine Valley region had not changed. It was shrinking and merging at this point. After entering the void fiend space, Night Sorrow first brought the few of them to the lava lake. Sikong Chuyu released the fire phoenix. The fire phoenix let out a cry and dived into the lava lake. It bathed in the lava lake's flames and absorbed enough fire attribute energy before flying to one side to advance. Night Sorrow greeted the few girls and went to catch a wild beast. When he came back, he roasted it. Everyone began to drink and chat. I think mother and father will mention our marriage when they see father-in-law and mother-in-law. I plan to wait. When the 9 regions world stabilizes, We will hold a decent and grand wedding. Night Sorrow expressed his opinion. Sure. When the time comes, bring Sister Xuexi along, Yang Lei said. After this period of time together, Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi had all accepted Xuexi. Xuexi guided them in their cultivation like an elder sister and helped them improve their cultivation. The main point was that Xuexi had changed a lot. She had given up her past and lived a very relaxed and generous life. No need. I don't care about these things. It's good that everyone is together. This is very good, Xuexi said with a smile. Night Sorrow did not interrupt. He was also thinking in his heart about Xuexi's problem. Night Sorrow, how long will it take for your void fiend space to completely merge and refine? Yang Lei changed the topic. She knew that Night Sorrow and Xuexi had to solve Xuexi's problem by themselves. Who knows? I haven't refined it before. However, it's already shrunk by a third. It's not that it's shrunk, it's just that it's merged with the void fate pearl. The internal area hasn't changed at all, Night Sorrow said. A small world in hand and a small world as our home. How domineering, Aoi said with a smile. Night Sorrow, as long as we refine this, most of the problems of our 9 regions world will be solved, right? Sikong Chuyu asked. More or less. The people of the profound sky world were able to descend and break through the spatial barrier because our 9 regions world was not fully developed before. Then, our source shattered. If we merge with the void fiend space, we can develop towards a world with supreme laws. At that time, no world or space can casually invade us, Night Sorrow said. After solving the problem, we'll work hard in cultivation. You can also find a source stone for 9th senior sister. Then, everyone can cultivate to the Saint Realm. That will be perfect, Sikong Chuyu said. It's not like that. The Saint Realm is not the end of a cultivator. Night Sorrow shook his head. In the blink of an eye, this book had been written for 5.5 months. 900 chapters in 5.5 months, close to 2 million words. Every day, there would be 5 chapters. Sometimes, there would be outbursts. Shizi was very proud. He was truly tired. He forced himself to persevere every day. He would not sleep until he finished writing 5 chapters. He was close to obsessive-compulsive disorder. Even his hair had turned white. The main reason was his perseverance and his emotions. Shizi was grateful. He was grateful to all the brothers and sisters who had always supported him. You liked this book and chose to support Shizi. No matter who I disappointed, I will not disappoint you. Shizi bowed and thanked everyone. I remember each and every one of you. I have a grateful heart. You can read the rest of the book. Chapter 903. Then, Night Sorrow talked about the levels of the Saint King Realm and the King Realm. There's really no limit to cultivation, Sikong Chuyu said with some emotion. The Saint King Realm has a lifespan of 10,000 years and is a true eternal giant. The rank 8 King Realm is also the Undying Realm. If there is no opponent to kill, there is no limit to their lifespan, Night Sorrow said with a smile. You mean that we are going to advance to the Undying Realm? Yang Lei said with a smile. But aptitude is a problem. My aptitude is limited. As I cultivate, my lifespan may reach its limit, Aoi said. Others worry about their lifespan and aptitude, but 6th senior sister, you will never have to worry because the lifespan of the Space Master and the World Master is synchronized with the space and the world. As long as the space and the world do not collapse, the Master will not die, Night Sorrow said. Then congratulations, 6th senior sister, Sikong Chuyu said with a smile. That space origin is too precious, Aoi said after being stunned for a moment. I told you that 13th junior brother loves you the most, 6th senior sister, Yang Lei also said. The wind attribute is of the same origin as 6th senior sister, so this is 6th senior sister's opportunity, Night Sorrow said. Everyone drank and chatted. Fire Phoenix had also completed her advancement and entered the rank 5 realm. In addition, there are all kinds of resources and opportunities in the great wide world. There are resources that can change one's body, soul, and aptitude. I believe that our future will be very good, Night Sorrow said. While they were talking, Night Sorrow's clone communicated with the 9 regions' origin energy, asking where he could comprehend the lightning attribute laws. He wanted to make plans for Yang Lei's future. The 9 regions' origin energy told Night Sorrow that the origin of the Qingtian region was the lightning attribute origin. He could give the lightning attribute origin to Night Sorrow. After receiving this news, Night Sorrow was so happy that he waved his arm. Yang Lei and the others were stunned. They had never seen Night Sorrow lose his composure like this before. Then, Night Sorrow said that he had solved Yang Lei's problem. That's too overbearing. Both Chuyu and 6th senior sister have source stones. Sister Shueshi is a high-level saint. Mother also has source stones. Father is a saint. Night Sorrow, you really have nothing to worry about, Yang Lei said happily. Sigh, my only regret is that Father Gu can only provide us with resources. It's all up to us. Night Sorrow sighed. Sikong Chuyu and the others nodded. This was something that couldn't be helped. Papa Gu was old and his foundation wasn't good. It would be very difficult for him to become a saint. Night Sorrow, you don't have to worry. Work hard to help Papa Gu reach the 5th rank. A 5th rank cultivator has a lifespan of a few hundred years. Who knows what will happen in a few hundred years? Aoi said. Night Sorrow nodded. He hoped that Papa Gu could always be by his side and live well. After staying in the void fiendish space for 2 days, Night Sorrow and the others went to Bamboo Garden City to walk around. Night Sorrow missed that place because he had lived there for several decades. After walking around, they returned to the spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow asked Shao Kong if he could open it and let more people in. Night Sorrow wanted to give the members of the God-slaying squad more opportunities. Sure. It's just that you need spirit stones. You don't lack spirit stones right now, said Shao Kong. Night Sorrow then had Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi enter the 61st floor of the Spacetime Pagoda. He had Tianyu, Yi Mei, and the members of the God-slaying squad enter the 61st floor. After moving Shueshi to the 70th floor, Night Sorrow entered seclusion on the 76th floor. This was Shao Kong's suggestion to Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was now a 4-star saint. Adding on his powerful body, he wouldn't have any problems enduring 6 times the time acceleration. Everything in the 9 regions world was going smoothly. Because Night Sorrow wanted to cultivate, he didn't go to the nether world to cause trouble. The nether world had stabilized. Although it was stable for now, the 9-een underworld monarch was still worried. If she didn't solve the problem of the spatial tunnel, the nether world could be attacked at any moment. But she couldn't solve the formation. And look at DF. Unable to solve this problem, she left behind an avatar while her main body went to the most dangerous part of the netherworld realm, the netherworld abyss, to cultivate in seclusion. She wanted to break through to the Saint King realm, but since she couldn't win in a battle of wits, she had to seek a breakthrough in her strength. In the space below Clear Sky City, Jin Yu and Bo Qing both had very ugly expressions. Damn it. How could we let the remnants of the Yi clan sneak in? Now that the origin of space has been snatched away, it will be very difficult for us to get out. Jin Yu smashed an ancient tree with a punch and roared angrily. Brother Jin Yu, this is my negligence. I didn't expect to be ambushed, Bo Qing said. This is not your fault. The remnant of the Yi clan has a spatial technique and can travel back and forth through space. If we are not prepared, it will be very difficult to defend against it. Now, it will be very difficult for us to leave, and he can come in at any time. Jin Yu explained the predicament that the two of them were facing. If we don't refine this space, we will have to recover our cultivation before we can leave. There are no resources in this space, so recovering our cultivation will be as difficult as ascending to the heavens. We can't withstand the tyrannical turbulence outside. Bo Qing's face was ashen. Also, how did Yuan Xiu's space-time treasure pagoda appear in the hands of the remnant of the Yi clan? Could it be that Yuan Xiu, who attacked Void Dao City 10,000 years ago, died? Jin Yu frowned. There was another explanation for the space-time treasure pagoda appearing in the Central State Prefecture. I'm not sure, but that treasure appeared in the hands of the cultivators of the 9 regions world. Yuan Xiu is most likely dead. Right now, the two of us can only think of ways to protect ourselves. If we can't escape, we have to wait for help. The harvest of the 9 regions world once every 10,000 years is not far away. If the 9 regions world is destroyed again, the seal and suppression of this space by the 9 regions world origin will loosen. At that time, it will be our chance to escape. Bo Qing spoke his thoughts. Right now, that's the only thing we can do. The order to not let us bring in resources is really harmful. Otherwise, the two of us would have long since recovered. We would have been able to destroy the 9 regions world several times over, said Jin Yu hatefully. Don't question the decision of the higher-ups. There's no benefit in that. Let's cultivate together. The two of us can't be too far apart. Who knows when that bastard will sneak attack us, said Bo Qing. I'm just afraid he won't come. If he does, we can't give him a chance to escape. If we can take back the origin stone, our chance will come again, said Jin Yu. Bo Qing nodded. Right now, the two of them were helpless. Without resources, they couldn't increase their cultivation bases. They could only wait for an opportunity. Within the space-time treasure pagoda, there was enough energy to allow Knight Soro's cultivation base to rapidly increase. After entering seclusion for a while, he would enter the chaotic streams of space to stabilize his cultivation base. He even used the ancient netherworld tree's energy to corrode and temper his cultivation base. That allowed his cultivation base to rapidly increase without any drawbacks. Half a year had passed in the real world. Knight Soro's cultivation base had entered the 5-star Saint Realm. The Myriad Tao treasured tome had also entered the 5-star Golden Body Realm. 1.5 years had passed in the real world. Knight Soro's cultivation base had reached the 6-star Saint Realm. He had cultivated in the space-time treasure pagoda for 9 years. You can read the rest of the chapter. Chapter 904. Not only did he raise his Qi cultivation to a 6-star saint, but Knight Soro also raised his Myriad Tao Tome cultivation to a 6-star golden body. Knight Soro was still fine when facing saints, but when facing those below the saint level, he had to use the law of time in his body to suppress his Qi and blood energy. This was because the Qi and blood energy combined with the light of virtue were unbearable for ordinary people. Those who were not affected were those close to Knight Soro. They were related by blood, and his fiancée and the others were already stained with Knight Soro's Qi and virtue. 2 years in the real world was neither long nor short. Tianyu became a high-level saint, and Yimei became a saint. Sikong Chuyu and Yang Lei were already level 5 saints. Aoi had reached level 2 because her realm was high enough, and she had the help of the origin stone. Furthermore, there was enough energy in the pagoda of time and space. Knight Soro had a rare moment of relaxation when drinking tea and chatting with his parents. Yu Qing was already a peak saint, and she was on her way to becoming a saint. Yi Wuyo was also a peak 2-star saint, and he was on his way to becoming a 3-star saint because Knight Soro had provided him with a lot of resources. Knight Soro, don't work too hard. Your cultivation is improving fast enough. You can already deal with some problems. Yi Wuyo looked at his son and said. Even he thought that the CP was a fake ZJ. Thank you, father. I'm doing well. Knight Soro nodded. Although the child hasn't held a wedding, he can have a child. No one will laugh at this. Our Night Moon also needs a 3rd-generation successor. Yu Qing said. In the past, Yi Linghuan was the leader of the Night Moon dynasty, and Knight Soro was the 3rd-generation young master. A year ago, Yi Linghuan passed the position of leader of the Night Moon dynasty to Yi Wuyo. Night Sorrow was the second-generation successor. Okay, I got it, Night Sorrow said. At this point, Night Sorrow was also a little puzzled. In the past year or so, he and the women had already let nature take its course, but they still didn't have children. After chatting with his parents for a while, Night Sorrow went to see Wu Lingfei. No matter when he came out of the space-time treasure pagoda, he would go see Wu Lingfei and have a cup of tea with her. Night Sorrow, you're trying to become a high-level saint, Wu Lingfei said. I still need time, but my soul doppelganger is not far from completion. Once I become a 7-star saint and my soul doppelganger is completed, I will go to Clear Sky City and kill those two, Night Sorrow said. Wu Lingfei smiled and said, take it slow. They're being suppressed. They can't run away. Night Sorrow nodded. He was not in a hurry because there was nothing that could threaten the safety of the 9-domain world. Let's go see the children in the Holy Hall, Wu Lingfei asked Night Sorrow. Alright, I haven't been there in a while. Let's go see Nianxiao. Auntie Fei, let's go together. Night Sorrow smiled. A year ago, Yi Nianxiao had begged Night Sorrow to go to the Holy Hall to cultivate, and Night Sorrow had sent her there. Night Sorrow would definitely satisfy his little sister's request. Although it was a bit of a conflict with the Holy Hall's rules of not accepting people, if his little sister wanted to go, he would give her the resources. Wu Lingfei also wanted to go, so she went with Night Sorrow to the Holy Hall. When they arrived at the Sacred Hall, Yi Shang greeted the children and waved his reincarnation spear in front of the formation, teaching the children how to use the spear. This was what Yi Shang would do every time he came. The commander is very calm right now, but when it comes to the children, he's completely different, said Jun Xuanji. When you reach the saint realm, you're all too lazy. It's rare for a 4-star saint to get along so well with the children, said Tai Shu Yan. Wu Lingfei usually didn't even speak much, let alone move. That's old history. A year ago, Night Sorrow was a 5-star saint. Now, he's a 6-star saint, said Wu Lingfei. 6-star saint? What's going on? It wasn't just Tai Shu Yan, but even Jun Xuanji was stunned. They couldn't see through Night Sorrow's cultivation base. Jun Xuanji was only an initial saint. He's working hard, said Wu Lingfei. We're also working hard, said Jun Xuanji. He's Night Sorrow. You're not. Wu Lingfei didn't speak much, but every word she said hit the nail on the head. Tai Shu Yan and Jun Xuanji didn't say anything. There was only one Night Sorrow in the 2 worlds. There was only one commander called Night Sorrow. After finishing their cultivation, Yi Nianxiao, Ning Yun, and Qiyue went to Night Sorrow's place. Nianxiao, if you have nothing to do, go spend more time with father and mother. You can bring your little friends with you, said Night Sorrow. Got it. Yi Nianxiao nodded. Ning Yun, are you used to it? Asked Night Sorrow. I'm used to it. Aunt often hits me and says I'm not working hard enough. Uncle, I'm really working hard, said Ning Yun. Yi Nianxiao was about the same age as everyone else, but her foundation was solid. She was already at the late core condensation stage and was the leader of the children. It's fine to be hit by a girl, you know. We're men, so we have to be magnanimous. We can't lower ourselves to the same level as a girl. Nianxiao, you should behave yourself. If you don't behave yourself, Big Brother will send you back, said Night Sorrow. He then glared at Yi Nianxiao. Following this, Night Sorrow had the 3 of them go back to rest. If Nianxiao is disobedient, Martial Uncle will send her back. Don't cause trouble here, said Night Sorrow. What do you mean disobedient? She's only like this because she has a good relationship with Ning Yun and Qiyue. She's usually very obedient, Jun Xuanji explained for Yi Nianxiao without waiting for Tai Shu Yan to speak. After staying in the Sacred Hall for 2 days, Night Sorrow left. After entering the passage between the Medicine Valley and Supreme River Space, Night Sorrow and Wu Lingfei separated. He wanted to go to Clear Sky City to take a look at the situation and also to get the Qing Tian domain's origin source. Some time ago, the 9 regions' origin source had communicated with Night Sorrow's clone. He could go get the lightning-attributed Qing Tian domain's origin source at any time. Sitting on the transmission array, Night Sorrow arrived at the spatial storm area where Clear Sky City was located. The spatial storm was already very weak and didn't have much power. Night Sorrow directly entered Clear Sky City from Clear Sky Mountain and arrived at the Heaven Sealing Hall. When Night Sorrow arrived, the 9 regions' origin source also appeared in front of Night Sorrow. Your cultivation is getting deeper and deeper, and your light of virtue is also getting stronger and stronger, the 9 regions' origin source evaluated while looking at Night Sorrow. Cultivation is obtained through hard work, but I still don't know what the light of virtue is, said Night Sorrow. Because you've done a lot for the 9 domains world, and now that everyone is living a good life, they're deeply grateful to you. Naturally, you'll be blessed with good karma. This is lightning essence. Take it well. Another 3 years have passed, and the Heaven Sealing Hall can be opened again. Because our 9 domains world was the winner of the last 2 world wars, my original body's situation has improved. This time, you can bring 10 people with you, the 9 domains essence said to Night Sorrow. Okay, I'll bring some people over at 1:00 in the evening. In fact, Night Sorrow was also thinking about this. With the approval of the 9 regions' origin source, his cultivation would be twice the result with half the effort. And you? You can also recertify your saint title, the 9 regions' origin source said to Night Sorrow. He wanted to read Becoming a God with All Tao for free. Chapter 905. Night Sorrow chatted with the 9 region origin energy for a while, then left. He was going to bring the people he had promised to get their titles certified. With the teleportation circle, Night Sorrow quickly arrived at the Netherrealm spatial tunnel. Night Sorrow called Sky Underworld Saint and the others over. He told them that they could bring people to get their titles certified. He wanted to leave 3 spots for his 3 fiancées. 7 spots. You promised Vice Great Uncle, so you must have them. You make the arrangements. I'll go get them. Sky Underworld Saint said. Only Night Sorrow could bring everyone into the Heaven Sealing Palace, so the others couldn't make the decision. Sky Underworld Saint could only call everyone over. After resting for a while, Yishang went to the command tent. By now, almost everyone who should be here had arrived. Actually, there's no need to rush. 10 spots in 3 years. That's not a small number. Also, don't go if your fighting strength doesn't exceed your cultivation. Without the strength to fight above your level, it'll be very difficult to pass the certification. Night Sorrow said. The God-slaying team also had a few sovereigns, but Night Sorrow didn't want to bring them. The God-slaying team was strong in group battles, but their individual fighting strength wasn't that great. Everyone looked at Night Sorrow's arrangement and didn't have any objections. Then I'll tell you what I think. Besides my great uncles, Vice Commander Yun Tianlong should also have a spot. In addition to Heavenly Underworld Saint, True Ocean Saint, Southern Heaven Saint, and Black Dragon Saint, that's 6 people. Including Venerable Wu Hen, that's 7, Yishang said. Everyone nodded. Night Sorrow's arrangement was very reasonable. Unfortunately, something happened to Senior Flying Tiger Saint. I can't bring him this time. Night Sorrow sighed. Flying Tiger Saint was still recovering. There will be spots in 3 years. When he recovers, we'll reserve a spot for him. It's nothing. He's been without a title for so many years. He just needs a few more years to recover. Commander, don't worry about it. Sky Underworld Saint said. Following which, Night Sorrow comforted Lu Qin, Hu Shao, Qing Meng and the others. After all, the quota was limited. We are not in a hurry. When the 9 zones world is completed, there will be no such restriction, Hu Shao said with a smile. Yes, I still need time. Night Sorrow nodded. While everyone was making preparations, Night Sorrow went to the resting area of the God-slaying team and explained the situation. It wasn't that he didn't want to give his brothers, who had just entered the martial saint realm, a chance. It was just that everyone was lacking, and it would be a waste of an opportunity if they went. The members of the god-slaying team all understood that even Ling Long had failed, so they had no chance at all. Then, Knight Sorrow went to the space-time pagoda next to him and entered it. He told Sikong Chuyu and the other two who were cultivating about the titled Battle Pet Warrior examination. Knight Sorrow, I've strengthened my combat abilities, but will I be able to pass? Aoi was a bit worried. Didn't Shueshi teach you a movement technique? It won't be a problem, Knight Sorrow said. For the past few years, Knight Sorrow had been strengthening the girl's combat abilities. The results were very obvious. The three of them all had ultimate attributes and ultimate bodies. Knight Sorrow was very confident that the three of them could pass the titled Battle Pet Warrior examination. Then, Knight Sorrow gave the Qing Tian Domain's Thunder Origin to Yang Lei. Thank you, 13th junior brother. Yang Lei pulled Knight Sorrow and kissed Knight Sorrow on the cheek. Hurry up and comprehend it. When the 9 zones world is completed, the origin will become one. At that time, the origin will leave, Knight Sorrow said to Yang Lei. It seems that time is tight. After going to the Heaven Sealing Palace for the titled Battle Pet Warrior examination, I will work hard to cultivate. I don't want to waste my efforts, Yang Lei said. That won't happen. Even if the 9 zones world's origin combine, it will still leave you with the origin. You won't waste your efforts, Knight Sorrow said with a smile. After resting for a while, Knight Sorrow led the group and set off. Yi Shang led a group of people to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall. The doors to the Heaven Sealing Great Hall opened and the group of people entered one after another. 13, I'm a bit nervous, Aoi said to Knight Sorrow. It's okay. It's best if you can get a title. If not, you won't lose anything. Don't pack too much. Knight Sorrow hugged Aoi. Then, he hugged Yang Lei and Sikong Chuyu. The group went to take the examination. Knight Sorrow communicated with the 9 zones world's origin. In recent years, the 9 zones world has been developing fast. These people are good. If the 9 zones world can't be repaired before the once in 10,000 years massacre, then take them to the Grotto Heaven and hide them. Or put them in my 9 zones defense shield. High-level life forms are the foundation of a world. We can't lose them, the 9 zones world's origin said. 2/3 of the void space's fusion has been completed, but it's slowed down a bit. Also, is the space below stable? Knight Sorrow asked. He was asking about the space where Jin Yu and Bo Qing were. It's very stable. If they can't refine the space origin, it's useless no matter how hard they try, the 9 zones world's origin said. When I become a high-level saint and this soul clone of mine is completed, I'll go in and kill them to prevent future troubles, Knight Sorrow said. The 9 zones world's origin nodded. It wanted to completely solve its problems. Knight Sorrow asked why he didn't have children. He wanted to know if it was because of the existence of the Heaven Sealing Great Hall's clone. It's not because your body's cultivation is too strong, so the problem of having children is also a matter of luck. Also, with your original body, the clone in the Heaven Sealing Great Hall won't have children because this is the Heavenly Tao. If you don't respect the Heavenly Tao, it's a loss of morality. You have to be careful and don't mess around, the 9 zones world's origin said to Knight Sorrow. I understand. This strong body is also a disadvantage now, Knight Sorrow said helplessly. There is a disadvantage, but there are also great benefits. After your children are born, their talent and bloodline will be far superior to ordinary people. Their starting point will be different from others, the 9 zones world's origin explained to Knight Sorrow. As they chatted, Knight Sorrow also learned that the existence of clones was for combat and communication. There was a difference between clones and the original body. They were accessories. If they overpowered the main body, the Heavenly Tao would choose to destroy them. It would either destroy the original body or the clone. Knight Sorrow nodded. He understood that such a rule of the Heavenly Tao was right. If a woman's original body and clone belonged to different men, it would be a mess. After communicating with the 9 Zones World's origin energy, Night Sorrow also learned about some taboo rules that could not be trampled on casually. You should also go and get your title verified. They will wait for you here after the assessment, the 9 Zones World's origin energy said to Night Sorrow. Alright, I'll go then, Night Sorrow said as he lifted the holster on his back. Also, there's still some time before your clone reaches completion. You can leave your auxiliary weapons here and let the origin energy nourish them, the 9 Zones World's origin energy said to Night Sorrow. Download Becoming a God with All Tao for free. Chapter 906. Night Sorrow stopped and thought for a moment. Then can you help me nourish this reincarnation spear? This sovereign's weapon is the most important. Sure, we'll talk about it when you come back from the examination. The 9 Regions origin body nodded. Nodding his head, Yishan entered the heaven-sealing Great Hall to undergo the saint conferment process. He was very surprised at how tolerant the 9 Regions origin energy was of him. Normally, the 9 Regions origin energy would agree with any question he asked. Actually, Night Sorrow didn't know that he had already been recognized by the 9 Regions origin body. If this continued, even if he couldn't complete the 9 Regions world, even if he couldn't become the ruler of the 9 Regions world, he would still become the virtuous great sage in Yiwuyo's sky. Furthermore, Yi Shang was currently refining the void fiendish space to complete the 9 domain world. The 9 domain origin energy body was aware of this, so Yi Shang's opinion had a lot of weight in the 9 domain origin energy body. Most importantly, the 9 Regions origin body was almost certain that Night Sorrow would become the ruler of the 9 Regions world in the future. With the supreme law of nothingness and the 2 advanced laws of time and space, as well as his tyrannical soul power, Night Sorrow didn't have any difficulty passing the saint title examination. The moment Night Sorrow passed the examination, 2 ancient runes flashing with golden light appeared in the sky above the heaven-sealing hall. What's going on? Even our titles aren't that big, True Ocean Saint said. This is the commander's title promotion. He's maintained the top taboo title, Heavenly Underworld Saint said. At this moment, golden light appeared all over the 9 Regions world. This wasn't because the 9 Regions origin thought highly of Night Sorrow, but because it was a special situation after a top taboo title appeared. At this moment, the doors to the heaven-sealing hall opened and Night Sorrow walked out in a white robe. The 2 ancient runes in the sky flashed twice and entered Night Sorrow's body. Then, the golden light in the sky disappeared. How is everyone? Night Sorrow looked at Sikong Chuyu and the other 2. Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi nodded at Night Sorrow. I failed. Nanxianxing sighed. That's because I failed. It's not a big deal. You can come again in 20 years, Night Sorrow persuaded. Among the 10 people who came, Nanxianxing's cultivation was at the top. However, the title test was for people of the same cultivation level. The higher the cultivation level, the harder the test. Without the strength of someone of the same cultivation level, it would be very difficult to pass. Not only did Southern Heaven Saint fail, Black Dragon Saint also failed. Out of 10 people, 2 of them failed. This result was something that Night Sorrow could accept. After using the space-time pagoda to bring everyone through the spatial storm and send them to the teleportation array, Night Sorrow returned to the heaven-sealing Grand Hall. He still had matters to attend to. When there was an outsider, the 9 Realms origin energy would not appear unless it was someone the 9 Realms origin energy body approved of. Then, Night Sorrow communicated with the 9 Regions origin energy. The weapon needed 1 year to nurture. At the same time, the 9 Territories origin energy clone also told Yi Shan that because the clone in the heaven-sealing Great Hall had nurtured a monarch-grade spear, the divine weapon Chi in the 9 Territories origin energy could only nurture another monarch-grade weapon. Night Sorrow took the reincarnation spear from his back and handed it to the 9 Regions origin energy. The 9 Regions origin energy waved his hand and threw the reincarnation spear into the heaven-sealing Grand Hall. Also, if you are not in a hurry to fight, you can nurture the other spear on your back. Even if it can't become a king-class weapon, it can still be nurtured to the level of a high-grade sacred weapon. You can come and take it whenever you need it, the 9 regions origin energy said to Night Sorrow. I won't be fighting for a while. I will cultivate for a while more. Besides, it's not like I can't fight without a spear. Night Sorrow left the space-splitting spear with the 9 regions origin energy. Then, his clone appeared. Night Sorrow left a storage ring for the clone before leaving. Night Sorrow was not used to the fact that his back was empty without a weapon. It was as if he was missing something. The space-splitting spear was still okay. However, the reincarnation spear had been with Night Sorrow for too long. It could be said that ever since Night Sorrow knew how to fight and since he started hunting, the reincarnation spear had never left his side. After returning to the spatial passageway in the Netherworld realm, Night Sorrow was also restless. This made the Sekom Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi, who had been successfully titled, very puzzled. Just as Yang Lei was about to ask the reason, Sekom Chuyu noticed the situation. Night Sorrow, your spear. Yes. Without the spear, I feel like I'm missing something. It's as if I'm missing something very important in my life, Night Sorrow said. What about your spear? What about your 2 spears? Yang Lei asked. They knew that Night Sorrow's reincarnation spear was a sacred artifact and the space-splitting spear was a quasi-sacred artifact. I stayed in the heaven-sealing Great Hall and let the 9 regions origin energy nourish me. However, this will take a year, Night Sorrow said. This is a good thing. It can improve the quality of some weapons, Aoi said. Let's not talk about the space-splitting spear. It can be upgraded to a high-grade sacred artifact. The most important thing is that the reincarnation spear can surpass the sacred monarch tier and directly become a king tier weapon. It can accompany me for a very long time, or even for a lifetime, Night Sorrow said. A king tier weapon is a weapon that belongs to the king tier. Your reincarnation spear can actually be upgraded to a king tier weapon. It's only been a year. This is too worth it, Sekom Chuyu said excitedly. She was happy for Night Sorrow. But you don't understand. Without the reincarnation spear by my side, I feel uncomfortable, Night Sorrow said. The space-splitting spear had only been with Night Sorrow for a short period of time. There was a degree of compatibility, but in terms of feelings, it could not be compared to the reincarnation spear. Bear with it for a year. Just cultivate for a year, Aoi said as she brewed a pot of tea. Night Sorrow nodded. There was nothing he could do about it. After drinking the tea, Night Sorrow went to chop down a tree. Then, he made a wooden spear according to the size of the reincarnation spear. He was not used to not having a spear in his hand. In addition, with the protection of the power of law, even the wooden spear in Night Sorrow's hands was not much different from a divine weapon. Then, Night Sorrow brought his 3 fiancées and Xueshi to the god-slaying team's encampment. He asked Tianyu to get a wild beast and then had a drink. Only then did he put the people who should enter the space-time pagoda into the space-time pagoda. Then, he began to cultivate. Night Sorrow did not cultivate with the others now. After entering the 6-star Saint Realm, he cultivated on the 78th floor of the space-time pagoda. The 78th floor of the space-time pagoda had an 8-fold time acceleration. As Night Sorrow's cultivation increased, the space-time pagoda's auxiliary power became stronger. In addition to the improvement of his basic cultivation, Night Sorrow cultivated his spear technique. Although it was a wooden spear, it did not affect the improvement of his spear technique's intent realm. When his cultivation increased too quickly, Night Sorrow would enter the spatial turbulence and even use the energy emitted by the Netherworld ancient tree to corrode his vital chi and the myriad Tao Tome's energy to hone his cultivation. In the 6 months in the real world, Night Sorrow cultivated for 4 years and successfully increased his cultivation to the 7-star Saint Realm, which was the high-level Saint Realm. The myriad Tao Tome also reached the 7-star Golden Body Realm. In the middle, there was not enough blood essence of the 4-clawed silver dragon, so Xueshi helped Night Sorrow get it again. Only then was Night Sorrow able to continue cultivating. Please give me some devil fruits. Our second place is not very stable. Please give me some help. Of course, if you tip me 200 yuan and need to update, Shizi will also add Myriad Dao Ascension to read for free. Chapter 907. After reaching the 7-star Saint realm, Knight Sorrow dared to fight a peak saint. If he had a weapon, Knight Sorrow would even go to the nether realm to fight. Seeing Knight Sorrow's cultivation soar, Sky Underworld Saint, Shang Luo, and the others who were guarding the spatial passage were shocked. They wanted to persuade Knight Sorrow to be more stable, but Knight Sorrow's cultivation was very solid. Long Xiansheng and Xian Wenxiu were guarding the sacred hall. Sometimes, they would come to the spatial passage to take a look. After drinking tea with his parents and Wu Lingfei, Knight Sorrow went to the Heaven Sealing Hall to take back the Space Render Spear. The Space Render Spear was already a high-grade saint artifact. In the 9 regions world, it was the only high-grade saint artifact in the weapon type. After taking back the Space Render Spear, Knight Sorrow felt a bit more at ease. After all, when fighting, he would not be like a beggar without a staff. Carrying the Space Render Spear, Knight Sorrow went to the Sacred Hall and accompanied the children. In the end, under Yi Nianxiao's suggestion, Knight Sorrow brought the 2,000 children to 2 nearby restaurants in Dongxian City to eat and drink with the children. The owners of the restaurants did not charge any fees. Since Knight Sorrow treated the children of the Sacred Hall as treasures, the people of Dongxian City also treated them as treasures. It could be said that as long as the children wore the clothes of the Sacred Hall, no shop in Dongxian City would charge them anything. Y0 Everyone knew Knight Sorrow's goal in establishing the Sacred Hall. Everyone was willing to offer their love and help Knight Sorrow fulfill his wish. In other words, the people of Dongxian City were willing to raise the children of the Sacred Hall. This kind of scene was what Knight Sorrow wanted to see. This was the human heart. When there was a simple human heart, society would be harmonious. After bringing everyone back to the Sacred Hall, Knight Sorrow called out to the children, "Are you happy?" The children responded to Knight Sorrow's call. "Back then, Uncle did something wrong and caused you to lose a lot. That was Uncle's fault. But now, everyone loves you and cares for you. Everyone has true feelings for you. Now that you've grown up, what you need to do is to protect this true feeling," Knight Sorrow said. "Uncle, we've grown up and know a lot. We understand your position back then. It's not that you're in the wrong. When we grow up, we want to be uncles. If that's the case, we'll brandish the Void Splitter Spear and fight the 7 Fiends King in front of the city." Only after the battle did 7 Fiends King realize how big the gap was between the reality and his perception was, and how unreliable his information was. Not only was he unable to suppress Knight Sorrow with his peak saint cultivation base, but he was also forced back by Knight Sorrow's ferocious attacks. If it weren't for the fact that his Jinqi cultivation base was higher than Knight Sorrow's, he might have been killed on the spot. "Are you going to kill me with this level of strength?" Knight Sorrow snorted coldly after probing for a bit. He realized that 7 Fiends King's combat strength was also average. Knight Sorrow no longer planned to test the waters. He used a spatial energy shield and poured his bloodline energy into the Void Splitter Spear. Suppressing the laws of nothingness, he began to violently attack 7 Fiends King. Knight Sorrow didn't use his void energy because the Void Splitter Spear was a spatial energy. If he poured the laws of nothingness into it, there might be some conflicts. Knight Sorrow's 6th bloodline energy was already saturated, and his spatial energy was also very dense. It was enough to suppress 7 Fiends King. After a few rounds, 7 Fiends King's chest was pierced by the spear light. "Stop him!" 7 Fiends King shouted at the Shuetu Death Warriors. Recently, some fans of the book felt that their cultivation base had increased quickly. It was mainly because of the plot. Not every time there would be a story. Some cultivators could cultivate quietly for 100 years. Sometimes, they needed a transition period. This book was currently in a transition period. You can read the rest of the book. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.